and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening, come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Oh, we can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening, come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special, to me personally anyway, a special presentation of my weekend in Kerrville last weekend. Kerr County, Kerrville. So Kerr County, the areas that were hit, it's been a month, like 2 days ago. So what is this? Is this Tuesday? So yeah, Sunday. No, it's Wednesday. So Monday was the 1 month anniversary of the floods. Anniversary means a year, but you know what I mean. 4 weeks later, I was on scene to check everything out. Yeah, it's been a month already. But welcome in, everybody. Ada K, Squeegee of Justice. So Ada K was my partner in crime for the weekend. She helped to show me around and get me in places I couldn't have gotten. So thank you to her. We're expecting a special guest. Megan is supposed to hop up here and join me here in a little bit. Don't see her yet, but she's going to jump up here and we're going to talk about it for a little bit, and we're going to check out videos. So I got some really good video footage of just seeing where everything is 1 month later. And I've got 3 pretty good interviews with locals. Well, 2 interviews with locals and 1 interview with some campers. And not campers that were there this year, but campers who have spent time at one of the camps in years past and were there to honor the camp director that lost her life. So I've got some good footage, and thanks to Dizzy, because I'm still figuring out my technical things, right? I'm figuring out cameras and microphones and Wi-Fi hotspots and all the other things that you need to do a decent report. And I screwed up some things, and she did the best she could to salvage some of it. So thank you very much to Dizzy for saving my butt again. Hi, Lisa. Squeegee, good to see you in here. Thank you so much. And of course, Pammy. I hope you're not having to straddle tonight, Pammy, because I've got some good stuff. I do. There's some good stuff in here tonight that I got. Right, Pammy? Yes. Yes, she is. I don't know how she salvaged my interviews because I did not. So I have these Bluetooth microphones. So you plug the little Bluetooth piece into the bottom of your phone that you're using to record the interview. And then you can clip these little remote microphones on their shirt or, wherever is close enough for them to pick up their audio. I didn't use them one single time last weekend. Not one time. I took them with me. I had them ready. I had them charged. And then I get in the middle of the interview and lo and behold, I don't use the microphones. Oh, I'm getting there. I'm getting there every time that I do a story, whether it's all of the trial days and the post press conferences, post, closing arguments, press conferences, post verdict press conferences, post sentencing press conferences. I learn something new every time. And I appreciate all of you having some measure of grace with me muddling my way through this. Every time I do it, I make a mistake, and hopefully I'm learning from my mistakes. I don't know where Megan is. She was going to be, let me check my messages, because I wanted to, I wanted to go through this ride with her. I wonder, she thought 7:30 Central, because she's on Central Time. Got to do a quick text. Sorry. Give me a second here. So anyway, it was an impactful weekend. There we go. There we go.
Oh, goodness.
Thank you so much for joining us. You're on stage.
Oh, well, hi.
Your measure of grace has been given and revoked.
Oh, well, sorry about that, guys.
You're fine. You're fine.
Had to get my daughter where she needed to go.
Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate that.
I am happy to be here. I'm happy to join. I always appreciate having you as a fellow correspondent because neither one of us can do all of this work alone.
No.
So.
No, and that's one of the things that kind of struck me when I was there last weekend is nobody else was there reporting on this right now. Nobody.
Yeah. It's kind of, it happens often. So I knew it was going to happen here too. The few days that I was there were nationwide news cameras everywhere. Of course, the president was visiting one of the days I was there. So of course, lots of media there that day. But I knew that eventually all of that would go away. And it seems like it has. I've checked in with a couple of the homeowners that I helped and just got a response back from one of them that said that there are plenty of NGOs in the area helping people out, at least in his neighborhood. That was the neighborhood that was right on the front on Water Street, waterfront, I should say, in Kerrville. And he says that they're well taken care of. So I was really happy to hear that because the last I heard, some of his neighbors who didn't have insurance, flood insurance, were going to be in pretty bad shape. But it sounds like they're getting most of those things taken care of.
Yeah, that's very encouraging. And Saturday, I responded to the American Legion Volunteer Center, and there were a bunch of people that turned out for that, and that was also very encouraging. They had two different groups going out. They had the search and recovery people that are going through the piles of debris and the trees and all of that stuff, still looking for missing people.
Yeah.
And then they also had the community outreach people that were there to help with their homes, tear down drywall and take off, all of the flood damaged areas off of existing houses to try and find some way for these people to recover from this.
Right. Yeah. And as much as, I was doing, trying to help out, it's like such an insurmountable task for it's just going to take a really long time, just to hear that there are people just now who are starting to remove sheetrock and to try to get water out of houses after a month, over a month. I can't imagine having to, lose so much and be displaced, and then also have to deal with going back into your house after a month and having to start that process.
Yeah. And it's going to take a lot of manpower. It's going to take a lot, and it's going to take a lot of hope, and it's going to take a lot of sticking together as a community. And that's what I saw this weekend. Like I've got 3 interviews coming up, and all 3 interviews have a very remarkably similar point of encouragement, in that these people are strong and resilient, and they're going to grieve together, and they're going to recover together.
Yeah.
I was greatly encouraged by the people that I talked to over the weekend, but also completely astounded by the devastation. I mean, we all know over 130 lives were lost, but there were dozens, if not more than dozens, of homes, properties that were destroyed or impacted or affected.
Right.
Maybe that's probably in the hundreds, plus the camps, plus the river itself. The river itself is completely changed and will never be the same, ever.
Yeah, and Ada K is saying that they have a mosquito infestation as well as other critters due to standing water where there normally is none. I mean, these are some of the things that people don't really think about that happens after the water goes back down again. Thanks for chiming in, Ada K. I'm glad you're here. If there's anything that you can think of that you or your neighbors need from us, we would appreciate knowing. I know, Joe Schmo, you came through the area while I was on my way back from Utah, so we missed each other. I was hoping to meet up with you there so we could go look at things together, but I'm glad that you were able to go, and I'll be down there most likely next weekend.
Okay. Yeah, Ada K was very kind, and she took me on a tour of areas that I wouldn't have been able to get to if she wasn't there. So
Nice.
Thank you, Ada K. I appreciate that. She's going to come up and join me after you have to run off and do your thing in a little bit here. Do you want to go on this tour with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dizzy put together a video. I recorded a whole bunch on my phone, and I just did a data dump. I'm like, do what you can with this. And Dizzy's like, here you go. She spent a lot of time like sorting through all mine. So there are times when you have to put your camera down to be respectful, whether it's to law enforcement or it's to volunteers or it's to, sensitive areas. So there were a lot of short clips, and she put a lot of the short clips together. So, all right, let me see if, here we go. Hey, it's right there. So this opening video is me arriving on scene in Kerrville. Like right away before I checked into my hotel, I went and I recorded this video on the south bank of the Guadalupe River.
Right here on the south bank of the Guadalupe River on the east side of the bridge, State Road 16 bridge. This is the one where the water got all the way up to the bottom of the bridge. So I'm going to give you a little look around. And there's the walkway that goes down to the park that's on the south bank of the river. As you can see, it's blocked off. I'm not going to go through that. But you can see there are some trees down lots and lots of trees down. There's a huge log jam there. That is going to take forever to clear out. Wish you could see it with the naked eye like I can. It's just incredible. And then, so that's just downstream from the bridge where the water got all the way up to the top of that. Which means if you follow the bridge deck all the way up to the south end of it there, you can see if the water was up there, it was covering that station right there. And I would probably be in floodwaters standing where I'm at right now. So you can see there's a little bit of a hill right there next to the road. I wouldn't be surprised if the water was up to there. Maybe even over the road. It's because the road slopes down to get here. So it's just incredible. Incredible. So this is the furthest downstream that I've gotten so far. There's the Guadalupe River. I'm on the north bank of the Guadalupe River. Across from where a volunteer meeting just happened for people out. Going out to do more search and recovery today. You can see there is a red piece of flagging on that debris pile there. That means it's been searched. You can see there's debris piles across along the banks. Look at how high up the debris goes in that tree. Oh.
So that was Saturday morning early. This is right across from the American Legion post where they had the volunteers show up for being dispatched for that day's work. And this was like one of the first impactful things that I noticed is like how high up in that tree the debris goes.
Yeah.
And this is all the way downstream. This is like at the opposite end of everything from Camp Mystic and Ingram and Hunt. This is all the way down past 4, 5, 6 bridges, whatever it is. You know, that wall of water that kept on going past all of those bridges is just astounding.
Yeah, so what a lot of people don't realize is that there's not just one bridge crossing the Guadalupe River. The Guadalupe River sort of snakes along, and so the road goes relatively straight through there. It does curve some, but what people don't realize is that there are multiple crossings of the river. It crosses back and forth, all the way down that highway. And so, in that 10-mile stretch or so, there's probably 12, if not more than that, 12 crossings of the river in that one place. Not to mention, and that's like just the main taller bridges, not to mention all of the lower water crossings that are off the freeway that also get affected when this area floods.
Yep. So I'm going to keep playing this, but Squeegee's just made a good point, and I was going to do this and I forgot. I'm going to pull up a map and show.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Where all this is relative to. So we'll keep playing for now, but stand by because in a minute when I get a map ready, we'll take a look at a map of where we're at.
Yeah.
Actually, I should probably do that right now.
I've also got one in case you can't find yours just readily.
Do you have one ready? You can absolutely share that.
It's not ready. I'm looking for it right
now. There's Kerrville. There's I-10. So I came in on I-10. Kerrville is literally on I-10. Like it's right there.
Yeah. I mean, the main part of the town is right there on 10.
Yeah. And the hotels and all of that are right there. Google Earth Pro. There we go. It's going to take a second, but just a second. We have time. We have nothing but time.
So I have a couple of maps that I can show, but they're not interactive by any means.
Right. I've got Google Earth up
Okay, that'll
with
probably
my
be
pin drops.
better.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And I mean, the ones that I have are the ones that I showed where the river crossings would have been flooded and stuff. So yours is probably going to be, Google Earth's probably going to be better for now.
Let's go. Here we go. And add to stage and here we go. Okay. So Kerrville is right here. There's I-10 up here. And this main drag is the Sydney. It's a Sydney Brown. Turn on roads. And I still don't see the name of that road. State Road 16. We'll call it State Road 16 is the one that goes northeast to southwest. And where I started was down here where I'm showing you pictures right now.
It's Sydney Baker, by the way, is the name
Sydney
of that street.
Baker. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I saw it like 400 times when I was there, but it
Yeah.
left my brain. So let's.
Well, I always point out to people that when you see these dense trees, that's a river bottom, basically. Anywhere where the trees are real dense and it's real green rather than brown, you know, that's where the river historically has been. And of course, yeah, it's like you want to say that you're looking for water, but really you're looking for these dense tree lines. And it's, of course, easy to see the river right here, but farther up, when the river gets more narrow, it's easier to look for the tree line.
Yeah. So this is where the volunteer center was, the American Legion post, and I drove up here and down here. So this is where my pictures are. So you're looking at all of these trees that were green that just got wiped out by this flood.
Yeah.
So you've got this bridge here, and you've got another bridge here, and you've got another bridge here and another bridge here that are all, and another bridge here. These are all downstream from Camp Mystic and Camp La Junta.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, it started way down here and I'm way over here when I start this video. So then you're going to see Ada K and I take a drive, and we start somewhere in this area here, and we go along the South Fork. So we start somewhere in this area, and we come down here, go through the checkpoint down here, and then we drive back.
Yeah.
So now you're oriented. Thank you, Squeegee. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Also, Squeegee's asking, is this considered a generational or 100-year flood event? This event right here has caused people to have to start talking about these events differently. We can't call it a 100-year flood anymore, because what that means is that not that the flood happens every 100 years like clockwork, but every year you have a 1% chance that you'll have a catastrophic flood. If we're looking at it in terms of how many years, this was more like a 1,000-year flood. It's been referred to that way. And so that basically ups your potential for having it by 10 times. So rather than a 1% chance every day of having a flood event like this, now there's a 10% chance every day that you would have some kind of a flood like this. And it's
one of the things that impacted me in being boots on the ground and seeing the river bed as it is now is all of the things that were deposited in the riverbed and all of the changes to the riverbed. I mean, there are probably areas of the riverbed that have been lifted up by 15 feet by all of the silt and sediment that was brought in
Right.
by the floodwaters and dropped off in the riverbed as it went through.
Right.
So how does that affect the adjacent properties? How does that affect their flood elevation? I mean, if the river next to you is all of a sudden 15 feet shallower than it was before, or the bed is 15 feet higher, does that lift up your base flood elevation by 15 feet?
Well, I
That's
think
something.
I think that's one of those things that the Army Corps of Engineers comes in after a disaster like this and reassesses the floodplain and reassesses the base of the river and the depth of the river and everything. Because you're right, it's been a stunning geographical change that's happened with all that's been deposited. And there were there were two things that really impacted me more than anything else. And one was seeing pictures of that huge Ford F-250 that was completely covered. All you could see was the mirror on the side of the car, and the rest of it was completely covered with gravel underneath the riverbed. And the other thing was these massive holes, 5 foot by 5 foot circumference hole, where there used to be a tree. And now there's just a giant hole with all of these roots coming out, and you can see where the tree has broken off and been swept away. So these trees are, hundreds of years old, a lot of them huge cypress trees that just got completely uprooted and carried down the river. So
They were there to stabilize the bank. So
right,
what's there to stabilize the bank now? Nothing.
right. So now the likelihood that more will get washed away as more water comes into the area and more flooding happens. That makes the potential for flash flooding actually worse as the bank gets eroded, because there's less, like you're saying, to absorb the water, to slow down the water, to keep the soil intact. Those huge trees being gone are one of the things that was keeping the soil intact. So now it's going to be even worse. The next time it floods, the water will go more swiftly.
Yeah. And on the other side of the bank from most of those trees in a lot of areas is the limestone walls.
Yeah.
And some of those did get taken away, but taken away are still there. It's like a water slide. It's like a chute.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's nothing on the limestone side to slow down the water.
Yeah. And I do want to say too, Mick Spunky is commenting on the wildfires in southern Colorado. I flew over some wildfires in Utah as I was flying into Salt Lake this last weekend. There's no place in the world that's exempt from natural disasters and devastation. And I know this community is, deeply empathic towards people who are suffering, and I appreciate that so much. But I also want people to take care as far as how much of this you consume. Be wise with your consumption so that you don't get overwhelmed, because then you're no good to anybody.
It's a hard line to ride. As somebody who reports on it and is impacted by it emotionally, and I was, Ada K and I went out on Saturday night to the memorial wall, and that was tough.
Yeah.
That was tough to see all of those pictures. They put up pictures of all of the victims that lost their lives in this, and you see entire families. You see little girls. It was tough. But that's why I do this, because I also did interviews with people who have hope and who are going to be able to band together and recover from this together. They're going to grieve together and recover together. That's my mantra that I'm sticking with.
Yeah.
You're not going to change my mind. They're
They're
going to grieve together, and they're going to recover together.
Yeah.
Mackerel. And I don't know the name of that bridge. or the road that bridge is. I'll look it up later. So downstream, not as bad as the next one I'm going to show you. Okay, this is the upstream side of that bridge that I just showed you from the downstream side. This is the Veterans Highway Bridge. So we just saw it from downstream. Now we're going to see the upstream side of it. I really don't want to step out on that bridge. There's not a whole lot of a shoulder to stand on, but I'll get up next to it so we can see more. Just the utter devastation of the flooding. Now we're further upstream at the next bridge upstream from the Veterans. So we're still on the downstream side of the bridge. See, there's a walking trail here.
All those trees just laying flat,
Yeah.
um,
That's why I stopped right there, because
huge trees.
it's so easy to just like skim over that. And that's just the amount of force that was flowing through there for an
The water is moving along at a pretty good rate of speed right here. That appears to be the main channel right off of the walking path here. See, the force of the water almost ripped this porch off. But look at how much higher this house is.
So if you notice on this, so this is a group of cabins that are elevated, that are on stilts or raised up above the ground so they could build there. All of the others in this group, this is the most upstream one right here, they were all on steel pillars and concrete. And so were their porches. But this guy built his porch on wooden pillars, and that was a mistake. And I'm going to say they're lucky that the whole cabin wasn't ripped off of there, but they're not, because they're probably going to have to demolish the whole cabin. If you see that tape on there and you see those two red tags on the front of the porch, this property has been condemned. So it's probably going to have to be ripped out of there.
Yeah. And people in the chat are talking about insurance, and I want to touch on that too, because it's super important. On Waterfront Street where I was working, one of the gentlemen who lost his house, it was condemned, said that he had flood insurance. And then about 2 months before this happened, he got a letter from the insurance company stating that they were no longer carrying flood insurance. And so, what do you do in that situation? The similar thing happened to my daughter who lives in California. They said, we're just not doing homeowners insurance here anymore. And so she had to embark on this epic saga to try and find homeowners insurance that would insure their particular property. And so the people who lost their flood insurance just 2 months prior to this, it took my daughter probably 4 months to finally find a carrier that would even insure their house. And it was very, very expensive. And so, if you can imagine, a lot of these homes are generational homes. And so they're not required to have homeowners insurance because they don't have a mortgage on it. Of course, the wise person would have homeowners insurance, but homeowners by itself does not necessarily cover flood, especially if you're adjacent to water or if you're in a floodplain. So getting flood insurance for these people, would have been very, very difficult after another insurance company discontinued flood insurance. And a lot of these people are not, the type who are just, go-getters, going to run out there and let's fix this right now. It's like, what do we do? And so you call a couple of insurers and they say, yeah, we're not doing it either. it's just really incredibly difficult to get insurance. So I've heard a lot of people engaging in some victim shaming and saying, well, these people should have had insurance. Well, it's not that simple.
No, it's not that simple. And it's so incredibly ironic, coincidental, maybe not, that you mentioned that person that lost their flood insurance 2 months before, because my friend that I went to church with on Sunday morning, she works in a housing adjacent industry, in the housing industry, and they also have connections with flood insurance providers. And she spoke with somebody who had lost his home in this flood, who lost his flood insurance 2 months before. So are we talking about the same guy, or are
Could have
we
been the
talking?
same company, the same insurance company,
Yeah, are you and I talking about the same person that lost their insurance 2 months before, or was it like an across the board thing where there's one flood insurance company or a couple of flood insurance companies that canceled a bunch of policies coincidentally, like a couple of months before this disaster?
Honestly, I think it's the latter. I think it's the latter. The person that I'm talking about, you were talking about your friend you went to church with the other
Yep.
day. I was talking about one of the people that lived on that waterfront street where I was working to help people clear out their houses. So I would wager that, you and I have talked about this, Joe, before, where there were other people doing these models for the raining and for the flash flooding. This is flash flood alley. Insurance companies are well aware of the risks in this area. And they're constantly looking at weather modeling. They're constantly looking at the changes in atmospheric conditions, because they have a financially vested interest in making sure that they're not losing money on events like this. And so they probably would have looked at climate models and the risk factor in that area and said, you know what, we're insuring too many houses in this one area. Sorry about the dog noises. But they probably looked at it and said, we're insuring way too many houses in this one area that's really susceptible to flash flooding, and we just can't afford this risk anymore. They're constantly reevaluating those risk models. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if there were 2 or 3 insurance companies doing flood insurance in that area, and if 2 out of the 3, or maybe all 3 of them, said, this is too high of a risk. We've got too much, financial loss probability over here, and we're going to have to cancel these policies now.
Yeah. And here's something else to think about. You can't get flood insurance if your property is in a flood hazard zone A.
Right.
If your property is in a flood plain, in a floodway, you can't get flood insurance. And there were several properties that were destroyed that didn't have flood insurance and couldn't have ever gotten flood insurance for it. So where do those people go? How do they rebuild and recover?
Right. And that's something that I didn't know until I moved to San Antonio, and my former spouse and I were looking for houses. And it was actually our realtor that informed us of this, who said, okay, let's look at this, because San Antonio has several areas that flood frequently. And she said, okay, well, this one's in a floodplain, so we're not even going to look at it. And I was like, why not? It's a 100-year floodplain, and that's when she explained to me how that works, how they do the numbers on everything. And she said, you'll be able to get homeowners insurance, but you won't be able to get flood insurance. And if something happens, you'll lose your house, and then you're just out of luck. There's no way that you can recover any funds from that if it happens, because they basically make you sign a thing when you buy the house that says that you're aware that this house is ineligible for flood insurance.
Yeah. Yep. And that applies to a lot of people that lost their homes in this.
Yeah.
And so they're left wondering, what do I do? They're out there. Imagine if you're a lifelong hill country resident and you bought a house, or you take over your parents' house and you can't get flood insurance, but you're like, it's never flooded up here. We've never lost this house. And then boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I can't imagine.
Yeah. And State of Confusion is asking about FEMA. Is FEMA helping the people who didn't have insurance? Well, yes, but they have restrictions as far as what they're allowed to do and how much they're allowed to help with repair and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a process. You have to go through your own insurance first. And then, if I remember correctly, you have to present FEMA with a document from your insurance company stating that they will not cover anything. And then at that point, FEMA has to assess your loss against other losses and the amount of money that they have available and the amount of other resources that they have available. So it's a complicated process. And so it's not just as simple as, well, you lost your house and you don't have insurance, FEMA will rebuild it. It's not that simple at all.
Yeah. There are people in Florida from hurricanes and North Carolina now who are still trying to deal with FEMA recovery. Yeah. To help them recover, because you're up in the mountains in North Carolina. Why on earth would you get flood insurance up there?
Right. Yeah, and that's why, I'm a fan of small government. I'm a fan of, I'm fiscally conservative, but I do believe that we need FEMA, and I believe that FEMA is instrumental in these types of disasters for filling in the gaps. However, I am very, very much a proponent of people making sure that they take care of themselves and not just hold out hope that somebody else is going to help them when they need it. Of course, you can't plan for every single eventuality. There's always going to be something that, happens and you just couldn't be prepared for it. But it's the reason that I did the video on my channel of emergency preparedness. And if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it, because there are some very basic things that you can do to protect yourself and your family, so that if a disaster like this strikes, you may lose stuff, but you won't lose everything. You may be uninformed, but you won't be totally in the dark. Just some basic things that you can do no matter where you live that are going to protect you better. Just being aware of what natural disasters are common in your area and preparing specifically for that is the best thing that you can do. The other thing is to review your insurance coverages on an annual basis. And I know a lot of us, don't get me wrong, I know insurance is a racket. I don't like it either. It feels kind of like flushing money down the toilet, because you never know once you pay for it if you're actually going to get covered. But having the appropriate insurance, having adequate insurance, but not going overboard, that's one of those things of being financially responsible and financially healthy. And so, if you're renting, you should have renter's insurance. If if you own a home, you should have homeowner's insurance, even if you own the home outright, and especially if you own it outright, because that's your entire, you've got a huge chunk of your assets wrapped up in a structure that if it goes away, you're going to lose everything. So, and Spinster's mentioning about dead tree removal, because I reviewed an article from a meteorologist who's been a meteorologist for, I think, 25 or 30 years. He said the two weather disasters that scared him more than anything else, it wasn't tornadoes, it wasn't floods, it wasn't hurricanes. It was lightning and dead trees. And that second one is one that we don't often think about, but it causes so much damage that, when there are high winds or whatever, when there is a storm, dead trees cause more damage than other things. And so it's really important to be aware of that.
Funny. It's so funny you mentioned that, because the very first house that me and my ex-spouse bought together, there were several maple trees around the property, big old maple trees, like probably 100 years old. And there was a freeze in the late 90s, a deep freeze that froze the trees and killed them from the inside out. So it took several years for them to die off and start falling down. And then a lightning strike happened in our backyard. And we have dead trees and lightning strike all in one. It was a catastrophe for sure, but we had a really good insurance agent that worked with us, so But we had insurance, and we had
That's
to
so
get an
important.
insurance agent. Yeah.
And also people in the chat are mentioning, and I said this on my video too, that if you get a private insurance adjuster, they will charge a percentage of whatever you get paid out by the insurance company. But then you're not just at the mercy of the insurance company to decide what they're going to cover and what they're not going to cover. A lot of times, it's not too far of a stretch. If anybody saw the movie The Incredibles, where they're like, just deny everything the first 3 or 4 times. A lot of insurance companies have that sort of tacit policy where it's like not officially in their manual, but they encourage their agents who are taking the intake to deny the first line. And it requires the customer to come back and push back several times. But you won't have to go through any of that if you hire a private adjuster. It will cost you a percentage of whatever they pay out, but it is worth the drain on your mental health to not have to fight with a big, huge insurance company who is, legally armed to the teeth.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Where the flood waters almost ripped the porch off, then the river.
I can't imagine how scary it would have been to be in that house.
Right? And I'm looking at the trees, and they're bent sideways.
Yeah.
From that immense pressure and force from the water coming down. And we are still downstream, way, way, way downstream from the confluence of the North Fork and the South Fork. I mean, look at the elevation difference. So here is the south bank right across from where I just was at this same bridge. Just sweeping you across the floodplain. This road is supposed to be closed, but somebody's down there along the river access. Look at all of those trees pushed over. Okay, I'm standing behind one Shriner Center. There's a little overlook park right behind, or a little overlook setup here, a deck right behind their office. And from this overlook, you can see the dam, and you can see the main bridge, Sidney Baker Drive, over the Guadalupe River. It's a nice, peaceful, tranquil setting.
That water is still moving faster than I've ever seen it when I visited.
You hear the water rushing over the dam, and then there's another dam to my left that I'm going to pan to in a second. But you can see there are some trees that are bent. There's some debris down there alongside the river's edge, but the grass is green on that flat spot over there. It's turning green again. I don't know if it ever stopped being green under the floodwaters. But watch when I pan to the left here. There's that other dam. Look at all of the destruction that was wreaked by the floodwaters over all of those trees. Most of those are cypress trees. Most of those are pretty old cypress trees.
Maybe when Ada
And the
K
bank
comes on,
will forever be changed, at least.
she can tell you about the movement of that water. But to me, it looks to me like that water is moving way faster than it ever did before this flood, because there used to be places on that dam where you could, well, not this particular dam, but one, up a little farther, where you could walk across the dam because the water was, stopped there. Yeah. Ada K was saying the water below the dam is high. It usually trickles over, and it's running. It's fast.
Well, that reminds me that, so this is Sunday afternoon that I'm taking this video footage, this particular video footage right here. Saturday, after Ada K and I went down the South Fork and back, we did a live Saturday night. We got multiple flash flood warnings, and it was raining and raining and raining. It started raining when we were out checking out the caves, by one of the memorial places.
Yeah, you got to get out of there when that happens.
Right. Yeah. And lightning hit like within a mile. It was like flash boom. And we're like,
Yeah.
okay, we're out.
Yeah, I was getting those warnings while I was in Utah, on Saturday night. It's so scary because it's like we've been saying, erosion of the banks, erosion of the dirt and the vegetation that holds the banks together. That's going to make that water move faster. The silt that's built up makes the water level higher. It's a whole new ball game now. These people have to be so careful from now on, really, because until the Army Corps of Engineers comes in there and reestablishes the floodplain and the water level and all of that, it's going to be really important for people to pay attention.
I don't know how much the Army Corps is involved in that, but I know FEMA is involved in that, and the state Homeland Security is involved in that. And so what they have to do is they hire private engineering companies to do flood studies and to reevaluate. And that starts with topographic mapping of the new riverbed, because there is a new riverbed. All of the old studies that were done no longer apply in this area because of how this event changed the riverbed. They're going to have to redo it. They probably should get out planes and fly it with LiDAR. And I mean tomorrow. They need to be out flying this with LiDAR tomorrow and getting topographic assessments of the riverbed, the new riverbed, and figuring out how the flood plain has changed after this catastrophic event.
Yeah. I don't want to mess up your flow tonight. No pun intended. But I only have about 20 minutes left, and I'm curious if you are going to cover the hearings that took place.
Tonight I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not. Let's you and I cover that together.
Yeah, I would like to. I really would like to, because I have so many thoughts, and it's going to take a lot longer than either one of us have tonight to do that. I watched the hearings. I watched a memorial service that was done. I've watched several things over the last few days. I've got a little folder where I have tons of notes on that. And I really would appreciate your help unpacking it, because I don't want to just sit here and monologue about it. I would love to have some, back and forth and some feedback. So
likewise,
it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. The hearings were a lot. I'm still unpacking all of those, because it's politics meets reality.
Right.
And politics is not reality. So it's like, how do we deal with that? How do we handle that? And
and that's one of the conversations that I want to have too, is that, can we please suspend our politics for a minute and just think as humanists, and let's think about what, we can't change what has been done in the past, but let's get some answers to these questions. Let's see what we can do in the future. And, let's suspend partisan ideals for a moment and just consider that we all want the same thing. All of us want peace and prosperity for ourselves and our loved ones. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, let's figure this out together.
And we want our loved ones to be safe when we send them off to summer camp.
Right.
Kerr County, Texas.
Yeah.
There were people that sent their daughters off, their little girls, off to summer camp, and they weren't kept safe.
Yeah.
And we need answers as to why and how we can do better next time.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, Salty, good to see you.
For the next 100 years, it won't look as it did pre-flood. So I just wanted to give you a little longer video, a little longer look at one of the vantage points. And think about trying to search that mass of trees right there for victims. That's something that was a particular note to me because my sister was out there with her canine, with her HRD canine. And can you imagine if there is a victim among that mass of trees? Can you imagine trying to find that particular victim? It's like next to impossible until you get like deep down in there. Like there are so many levels to this. It's so devastating.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why, it's taken them so long to, to pick through all of that debris. They're fairly efficient, at clearing those big piles of debris, but as far as searching through this, that's not something you can just walk through and navigate. And what they were doing with those larger piles that were up on the riverbank is they were sending the cadaver dogs in, and then they were sending volunteers in with those little rods that you can push down in to see, if you can feel flesh, basically. And then if they didn't get any hits on that, they would have a crane come in and scoop up the top pile of debris and just hold it there for a second and then gently put it down while someone went through it. So that's kind of the process of debris that's up on the shore. But as far as this debris, where it's trees laying flat, you can't just walk through that. You can't just put a crane on that. You can't even get a crane down there, so it is a much bigger, slower job than a lot of people realize. And it's, August in South Texas right now, average temperatures between 100 and 110 on any given day, 100% humidity, lots of bugs, lots of critters. It's brutal down there.
It was. It was brutal. Yeah. And so 100 degrees Phoenix, 100 degrees Kerrville, the humidity does make a difference. Like the real feel temperature and the drain on your body. Oh, yes, there are snakes in there. And there are different levels of that, but there were incidents. And when I get Ada K up here in a little bit, she can tell you about snakes and root balls.
So I want to address what State of Confusion is saying here. No matter what the numbers say, there are probably way more people missing than have actually been reported missing. So the official numbers that we get are on the people who've been reported missing. And you've seen that number go down, the missing number go down as people have been found. But again, as we've reported since the very beginning of this happening, there were people in tents camping up and down the river. There were people in RVs where their entire family was washed away. And so my supposition is that there are way more people missing than we're ever going to really know about. Some of them are probably never going to be found. And so when you say, isn't there only one person? Yeah, unhoused people as well. Joe, do you have the most recent count? If you don't, I have it. It's just going to take me a second to get it.
I don't know what the official count is. I know what the count is that I heard at the volunteer orientation on Saturday morning. And I'm not going to report that officially because I think that would be a violation of confidentiality. But the guy that was organizing that volunteer effort gave a number out there of the number of people that are believed to still be missing, and it was way, way, way more than 1 or 3.
Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah.
I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, and that's why I even hesitate to say the official count because I don't think it's accurate.
No, it's not.
I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah.
That's just kudos to all the volunteers that showed up to help search and putting yourselves through all of that physical, mental, emotional burden to come out and help assist in finding the victims. I just thought I'd come and show you this nice tranquil overlook
that wasn't so tranquil on July 4th and 5th. Now we start the drive. This is just from downstream of Hunt. And we took out the audio just because Ada K and I are having conversations that not everybody needs to hear.
Oh, do tell. Just kidding.
There are just piles of debris alongside the road. Oh, whoa, whoa. Got to stop there. Got to stop there. Back it up just a tad. So we're coming up on Shoemaker Crossing. And Shoemaker Crossing was mentioned actually by name in the legislative hearing that they had the Thursday before I was there. So last Thursday during the legislative hearing, they mentioned Shoemaker Crossing because there was a deputy out there. And he saw Shoemaker Crossing get covered up by water. And when he saw that, that is like a trigger point for them that, okay, we have a flooding event happening and we probably need to put out a code red. And that's what he called for to dispatch. And it took 45 minutes after he reported water over Shoemaker Crossing before they actually put out a code red, because the dispatcher said, well, I can't just put out a code red. I have to wait to get authorization for that. 45 minutes.
That's
that could have
change.
been critical minutes for somebody at Camp Mystic, maybe.
Yeah. They need to authorize sheriff's deputies to be able to give the go ahead for a code red. And they need to be educated on what warrants that, but why not be overcautious rather than saying, oh,
you put out a code red and it doesn't get 30 feet deep. So what?
Yeah. So we evacuated, we woke some people up, but people are safe,
So here is Shoemaker Crossing coming up. Right there. I mean, and that, if you look at that road is what, 6 to 8 feet above the normal water level?
Yeah, and there's no protection on either side of that road. When water comes over that, you're getting washed away if you drive through it. That's it, period.
Yep.
There's no guardrails, there's nothing. So
there's
even if there's only
a
couple of inches of water, your car, your truck, your big badass truck that you've got on a lift with giant tires, it can get buoyant in 6 inches of water.
Yeah. So, and this is the only way in and out towards Kerrville.
Yeah, and Ada K says you're underwater here, right where you are right now. That was underwater.
Yep, way underwater.
Yep.
So that brings me to a point that needs to be addressed in this also is, so you send out, so say he did send out the code red warning and the dispatcher approved it and they sent out a code red warning at 3:30 in the morning or whatever time he noticed water over Shoemaker Crossing.
I think that report came in at like 1:45.
Wow.
If I remember correctly.
Gosh. Holy cow. So even if it comes in at 1:45 and say people get that warning, which a lot of people didn't get their warnings because the cellular coverage in this valley is horrible. Say everybody got it. Say there's perfect cellular coverage. Everybody in danger got the warning at 1:45 in the morning, and everybody woke up out of a dead sleep to get that warning. What is your plan to respond to that warning? Like in Indiana, when we get tornado sirens, you should have a plan how to respond to that tornado siren. If you have a house with a basement, you should be getting in that basement. If you have a cellar, you should be getting in the cellar. If you don't have a basement or cellar, you should maybe be getting in the bathtub and putting a mattress over you and your family or whatever it is, but you should have a plan. Did they have a plan? Do they have a plan? Will they have a plan in the future? Because if you get on the road and you try and evacuate on the road, you're going to get stopped at this crossing right here at Shoemaker Crossing. Oh, you're muted, Megan.
Thank you. Sorry. I have a separate mute on my microphone. I want to correct myself because I want to be accurate. So I looked up my timeline. I've got a slide with the timeline on it. So 1:14 a.m. is when the National Weather Service issued an emergency alert for Kerr County. At 3:35, they issued an additional emergency alert. And at 3:37 was when that deputy called in asking for the code red.
Yep, because he saw water over this crossing right here that we're looking at right now.
Right. And then, you know, the National Weather Service then issued at 4:03 a.m., issued a warning that said that people were urged to move to higher ground now because the situation was extremely dangerous and life-threatening. That was at 4:03 a.m. But again, a lot of people did not get those notices because of the spotty cell coverage and also being the middle of the night. I think the Kerr County, or sorry, the Kerrville mayor said he didn't get anything until 4:20 in the morning. And as we know, Judge Rob was at Lake Travis.
And Judge Rob was the person who could authorize that code red.
Judge Rob, you know, being the county judge, he would have been the one in charge of emergency management. And again, I'll just say there were a couple of camps that were upriver from Camp Mystic and Camp La Junta who successfully evacuated because they had someone down there watching the river starting at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And they were able to evacuate in time because they had a physical person down there watching the river, and that person went and verbally said, we need to evacuate. And that person went and verbally said to all of the people in the area, let's evacuate now. So there is a way to get it done without sirens and without, you know, warning systems, but you have to, and the thing is that guy knew the river because he'd been the maintenance superintendent at that other camp for 30 years, and he knew what the river does. And so a lot of these people who are at, you know, the National Weather Service and with budget cuts and things, a lot of people retired early. There was at least one vacant position at the NOAA of someone who retired early, and they haven't replaced that person yet. And even if they did, they're replacing him with someone with a lot less experience than the person who just retired and knows the area and knows the tendencies.
Kind of like air traffic controllers, maybe?
Yep. There's that too.
So that's Shoemaker Crossing. That's the point of where it all started. I mean, where the disaster started, where the deputy noticed the water coming over Shoemaker Crossing and saying, like, we need to do something about it, where they didn't do anything about it for 45 minutes because they couldn't reach the proper. And Ada K is going to come up here with me a little bit. If you look to your right, that floodplain has been completely changed.
Yeah. And somebody was saying earlier, a half mile wide. I don't know if it's quite a half mile wide, but it's 3-4 times as wide as it normally is. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's just that riverbed and the floodplain is completely changed forever. So they need to remap it. They need to redo their studies. That's going to require government money.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to require some help. Maybe from FEMA, but definitely from some kind of funding.
Yeah.
Emergency funding.
I'm glad to see so many people still out there. I'm glad to see these staging areas still full of equipment and vehicles and people a month later, because that means that there are still people working on it and helping. It's definitely not as much as it was, but I'm so glad to still see plenty of people there.
Yeah, there were several staging areas, and there were lots of volunteers, and it is very encouraging for
Yeah.
sure. So this is off to the right. This is off of the northwest side of the South Fork, the west side of the South Fork, and you can see there are houses that weren't touched, and then you see properties that were demolished.
Well, those ones you say that they weren't touched, I mean, their structure may still be intact, but I bet you they have water damage in them.
Right. And they need people to come in and help them tear out the drywall and the sheetrock
Yep.
and
And the
do all of that.
insulation and yep.
And redo the electrical and check the electrical panels and
Yeah.
all of this stuff, all of the things.
People in the chat are asking how they can help. Ada K says donating money. Honestly, that's the best way, because at this point, they've been inundated with in-kind donations like water bottles and things like that. What they really need is funds to spend where they need it. And there still is that communityfoundation.net that benefits all 5 of the counties that were affected.
Yeah, I do need to put that back up. Let me look for that while we watch this. This hotel, or this, I think it's a hotel up on the right side. The water came up to the second floor here. Right there, that property.
So just across the road to the left is that where the river is, or are you on the other other side?
No,
Okay.
yes. The river is to our left. So right now we are working our way upstream to the beginning of it, and then we'll turn around and come back. So yes, the river is off to our left right now.
Yeah.
Look at that. So many debris
they had
piles.
to be demolished.
Yep. So one of the things that I noted personally in this response was that I also covered the LA wildfires for month updates. So the wildfires in LA happened in January, and we went back and took footage of LA 4 months later. So I'm here in Kerrville 1 month after the flooding. I was in LA 4 months after that. The Army Corps of Engineers came in and helped the people in LA sort out their debris. Like, they separated the hazardous materials from the non-hazardous materials for people that signed a paper that said, we allow you on our property. I don't see the Army Corps of Engineers in here, and I'm not saying they weren't in here. It seems like a different response. And I'm trying to figure out if that response was because the federal government didn't send in the Army Corps to do the separation of the material to bring the debris out to the roadside where you see these debris piles, or if people didn't allow the Army Corps to come in and be on their property. Because,
well, when it comes to sorting through debris piles for survivors, they wouldn't have had a choice. They have to be allowed to go in there and search for survivors, because at that point, it doesn't matter that it's their property. And there was one ranch, I think, where 15 different people were found. So they have to be allowed to go in. But then as far as what gets done with the debris pile, if they decide that they want to dismantle it themselves, then they can. I mean, there was one place where we stopped, where we we were sent to go and help this gentleman who lived in an RV, and he had water damage inside his RV. It was obviously a situation where they were going to condemn it. He needed help. He was elderly, but he turned us away. So I don't know if he was waiting for his own people to come help or whatever, but
I talked about this. Yeah, I talked about this on my previous live on the trip update when I got back home. And there is a history of Texans with the federal government. and
Yeah.
hurricane response to past natural disasters not going well. So there may be a natural disinclination to allow the government and volunteers to come into your property and help you sort things out.
Yeah, that's true.
Just let me know when you have to go. Oh, whoa. That's Camp Mystic right there on the left.
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to look at it again when we come back the other way, but Camp Mystic is coming up here on the left. There we go. That's Camp Mystic. There was the memorial.
You can
And
slow
there
the video
is
down too if you need to.
There is the confluence of the creek that goes down to the south and the South Fork of the Guadalupe River. They are literally at the confluence of those two.
Yeah.
I'm going to slow it down. We're going to go through this a little slower. That's the creek and the lower. Look at the creek is wider than the South Fork of the Guadalupe River almost. I mean, it's close.
That creek
And-
is usually that creek usually doesn't have but a trickle of water in it.
Oh my goodness. And right here, right in the middle of the screen, was a whole bunch of cabins. I haven't seen this footage before. I forgot that I had it. Right there. Right on that area right there, there were a whole bunch of cabins, campers' cabins. And there's nothing left. Oh my gosh. I hadn't looked at this footage before I noticed this. Right there. Oh.
You can see on the right, that bank is pretty high, and you can see how high that water came up. Would have been 10 to 15 feet underwater at this point.
Yeah. I'm going to back up just a second just to make a point. That stone cliff on the side of the river right there, every time that the river floods and the water gets up there, it's just like a chute. It's like a water chute. Like there is nothing on that bank, on that side of the bank, that slows the water down. It just like goes through like a rocket. That's wow. More rock walls along the side of the river. More debris piles. Yeah, so this is all on the opposite bank from the river. Left side is the river right here. Here's another crossing. This is a very low crossing. Wait, let's back up. What did that say? What did that sign say? River in crossing. Oh, the river Inn is off to the right side here. And I pointed this out on a map before. The river Inn is in a floodplain, like deeply in a floodplain. So if you look to your right here, not there, right there, that's the river Inn right here. They have been in a floodplain for a long time, but they were built, so they were grandfathered in before they did the flood maps that showed that they were in a floodway or floodplain.
Hey, Puzzle
But the
Pieces,
water,
thanks for the super sticker.
hold on.
Gutted.
Yep, completely. So the water came through the river Inn and went across the road and actually affected properties on the left side here. We're going to see on the left side of the road. Oh, Dizzy jumped right past those. Okay. So now the river is on our right side. We're still going upstream a little bit. So to the point you made earlier, this highway crosses the Guadalupe River like several times. Like we're on one bank and then we're on the other side and then we're on the other side and then we're on the other side. There are like almost a half a dozen crossings just in this stretch. So to get in and out, to save yourself from a flood, you can't use the road to do that. You have to have an emergency plan to get to higher ground. And we actually heard about that. I heard about that from a couple of local residents that said, we have a house that's on higher ground that wasn't affected. And our neighbors came up to our house and said, can we stay with you? Because we're not sure if our homes are going to be affected by this flooding, but we know we need to get to higher ground. So they had an emergency plan like we have in Indiana with tornadoes. We go down, they went up. But they didn't have that for the campers, for all of the campers. So this is a stretch of the river that has like gradual floodplain to the left and to the right. But then we're coming in. So this is at the very, very upstream end of where all of this started. And you can see the right banks have the rock walls, the stone walls. So as this flood was created, this is the origination. I just made up a new word. This is the origin. This is the origin of the flooding. This is where
it's the headwaters.
Yes, where the water bomb was dropped that went downstream past Camp Mystic, Camp La Junta, Ingram, Hunt, Kerrville, Centerpoint, and on downstream. There was a water bomb dropped here, and there was one that was dropped on the North Fork too at almost the exact same time. And then they came together at Hunt, and
well, that's part of where the storm got stalled. You know, that was the edge of that storm front where they expected it to blow on by, and it got stalled and stuck there for a long time.
This is where the water bomb was dropped.
Thank you so much, McSpunky, for gifting memberships.
You can see how deep the floodwaters were right here at the beginning point, at the upstream point. They weren't as deep as they got downstream, but this is still a significant flood event for this. Obviously, we're underwater here probably by 10 feet. So it was probably like 15 feet deep here, just judging by the debris and the marks on the trees. So you have stone on the left, you have stone on the right. There's just nothing slowing down this wall of water. It's just picking up steam. And there you have the riverbed where things were deposited in the riverbed, and that's forever going to be changed. I mean, you can't go in there with like cranes and excavators and scoop out all of that silt and put the water or put the riverbed back where it was before. You don't even know where it was before. Look up there on the left. So imagine this wall of water that's over our head right now. And you can look at this tree on the left. So it's over our head by 4 or 5 feet. Look at this rock wall right here. So this huge wall of water comes down here and smashes into this rock wall on the left side and just turns the corner and keeps on going towards Camp Mystic. There is nothing to stop it, nothing to slow it down. It's like the momentum is going straight towards that rock wall. Oh my God. So this little bridge right here was underwater by at least 10 feet, at least 10, 12, maybe 15 feet. And all the water comes rushing over it and smashes into that part to the left. That's what it looks like upstream. There's nothing holding it back upstream either. Wow, look at that rock wall and look at that debris right there. Like this wall of water comes and smashes against that rock wall to the left side. It deposits some of it right there. Look what it deposited, though. It deposited other rock and stone. So that's the heavy stuff that got left behind when that wall of water hits that stone wall on the left side. So all the heavy stuff gets left behind. Everything else, trees, cars, whatever that's in that wall of water keeps on going downstream. That's got to be right there. That pile of debris you see right up against that wall, that's got to be where that wall of water hit. It's just a massive force of nature coming down this riverbed. So right now we're in that part, we were going downstream with a wall of water. This is the crossing that we crossed earlier the other way, but you can see, look at all of the debris field up here on that side where that stone building is.
I want to point out too, if you back up just a tiny bit, you can see on the bridge, as you're coming over the bridge, you see that there are some stones along the edge of the bridge, and those stones are there. They're not there as any means of protection. They're there so that when water comes over the bridge, the stones provide a little bit of resistance so that you can see how fast the water is moving and potentially tell how deep it is. And if you see water moving over this bridge, you cannot drive into it. But those stones are not there. Again, they're not going to protect anything. They're not going to keep you from getting swept off the road. They're really there just as a visual so that you can tell how fast the water is moving. Because if it's moving at all, you should not go into it.
Those stones got wiped out. Look at that. Like there's nothing left of the stones that were right there except for little piles of debris. That's how powerful that water was across that bridge.
Yeah, up to the second floor of that building, ADK says. So all this 20 feet underwater minimum.
So here the river is off to our right, and we see buildings that were just devastated and are going to have to be demolished in the end. Right now they're trying to remove the debris, and they have some big debris removal trucks in there right now. Whoa, I got to back up a second on that. Was that debris on his roof? Watch this building to the right. I think I see debris on his roof. Right there. You see this off to the left? I think that little thing on his roof has debris trapped on it. Wouldn't be surprised. That thing may have been completely underwater. And there's that rock wall again. The water is just flying through here, laying out trees like nothing. Look how high the debris goes on these trees, and the bark is stripped off up 12, 15, 20 feet over our heads. I don't know how to estimate that, but
well, and
it's up
also
there.
look at how far they are from the river. If you look down where the river is and you see how high up these trees are from the river, the fact that they've got debris high up in this tree and it's so far off the water, that's 20 feet.
Yeah. And we are still upstream from Camp Mystic. There's a wall of water rushing through this riverbed with nothing to slow. Oh, whoa, that was a car. That was a car. Holy cow.
Was being the appropriate word there.
Right. Look at that.
Go just a tiny bit further because we're blocking it.
Okay, let me move us because this is...
Yeah.
There we go. How's that? Watch this car coming up on the right. There is nothing left of this car. Wow, that's
just
been...
the wheels and the bed. That's it.
Oh my goodness. The obvious question is, was somebody in that car trying to escape the flood?
Yeah.
Or was it just yanked out of somebody's driveway? I hope the latter, but... Wow.
And ADK pointed this out too. But there were a lot of places that you passed where there were no houses. You could just see the slab and the houses were washed away. And that happened in so many different instances. And it's not an error in building, it's just the fact that I remember hearing the account of some of those kids at Camp La Junta who said that they woke up to the sound of pipes being ripped off of the foundation, to the sound of wooden, the 2x4s that were in the foundation being ripped off. And so, it's not like these houses, a lot of them weren't well built, but they were not built to withstand 1 million pounds of water. I unfortunately do have to go. I was hoping I at least would get to see your whole video, but I'm going to come back and watch it. And then, we'll be in touch and let's set up a time where we can go through that hearing, because that's a whole video in itself,
It is. And thank you for coming up and joining. And make sure you come back and watch my interview with the gals from Camp Hope. That is such a sweet interview. It's only 3 minutes long. It's going to be towards the end of this, but I just happened to run into them at the memorial wall, and it was such a beautiful little thing. And so here's a positive thing that came out of Lori's trials is before Lori's trials, I wouldn't have had the courage to like walk up to people and just be like, hey, you know, would you mind if I interview you? And I was in this case, and it was a beautiful, sweet little 3-minute interview that I did with these girls. So come back and watch that, please.
I definitely will. And thank you, Joe. I'm so glad you got to go and meet up with Ada K. And thank you, Ada K, for keeping us posted. And I'm going to keep covering this as well. So we're going to be doing a lot more on this.
Okay.
Good to see you. Please. I want to see you when you come up here.
I will. I'll let you know when I'm coming up. It's probably going to be this next weekend.
I got to say, thank you so much for your tireless efforts, your generosity, sacrificing, being away from your family to come here and help out people. We need more people like you.
Well, it's my pleasure to be able to be in a position to help people out. At that time, I could just get up and jump up and go do it. So I'm just hoping that I continue to have more time like that. So.
All right. Thanks, Megan. Take care. Be safe. Ada K. All right.
Hey.
You gotta run the ship for a little bit. You gotta captain the ship. I'm gonna keep playing this video, and I'm gonna let you talk while I go take a comfort break because
I love the comfort break word.
You know what
By the
that
way,
means.
Check your text. I'm embarrassed. That's all I'm gonna say. While you're on your comfort break.
Okay.
I didn't do it. Run it. Do you want to slow it down just a hair?
Yeah, I can. Absolutely. Let me do playback speed 7.75. Does that work?
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll work.
All right. Take it away.
Okay, so one thing I want to say right here is that you are at least 15 to 20 feet underwater at this point. On these banks here, I've driven this road more times than I can count, and it's solid trees. What gets me is the barrenness of the banks of the rivers. Now, as you come along here, we normally couldn't see through here. These are oaks that are standing. All the other trees are gone. The water did come up. Now you're coming up to Camp Mystic. This is that gray building is the entrance to Camp Mystic. And here we go again. This is a memorial that was put up from Moore's Lumberyard. And I can't remember who else. Some welder or woodcrafter put that up. And this is Camp Mystic. You could not see the camp from the road. The trees were so thick that they were well protected from the road for view. You had to know it was there to know it was there. But now it is very visible from the road. And we are underwater at this point, at least 10 to 15 feet underwater. Hi, Tinkitude. Hi, Upside Down. Hi, Davis. Hi, Puzzle Pieces. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming and viewing this. He came down the embankment to get this shot. The embankment is easily 10 to 12 feet up. You're not able to see the depth like you are in person. We're coming up into Hunt. This Hunt's River is usually a trickle, and there's a little dam. This building was blown out. The Hunt store was blown out. Oh, there he's going back. Okay, we're back there. But
yeah,
down. Oh, there you are.
I wanted to go back to Camp Mystic.
Yeah, I wanted to talk more, but it moved on. So if there's the dam right there on the left, just below that dam is about a 15 feet drop easily. And there was a full-size dumpster full of gravel. And then an upside down camp work vehicle that was pushed up against the embankment upside down and covered in trees and debris. So that was.
Look at how high that debris is on that tree.
Yeah, that debris. We're standing up bank. So what was that, about Well, I got a picture with you. I sent it to you where you were down below with the tree, and it was, you could see where you're standing and how tall, and you were how tall? 6 foot?
6'2".
Okay, you're 6'2", and it was at least another 10 feet above you. So, but yeah, this area is almost back to normal as far as its height. Now we're coming into Hunt. We saw the Hunt store on the left side coming in, and I wish we could have talked about that. But this is usually a trickle, and it came up above these walls and was coming out between the wall and the roof. The water was flooding out of that. And so a vehicle is totally underwater right here. And you can see all the way across, there was a winery over there, and all of that you see green in the background is flood. This is a new build. They had just finished building it, and it had water all the way through it. Luckily, nobody was living in it yet that we know of. I don't think they were. I find it interesting how quickly the grass starts growing again, but all of this is underwater. And if you can see the tree line with the trees closer to the river in here, if you slow, this is called Hunt Crossing. And there was a beautiful old dam that was made out of wood slats, over 100-year-old little dam. It's totally gone. And water was flow over that dam. And then to the left, as we go around the curve, there was a big tree. The tree's still there, but we had a rope. And I done this with my kids. You'd swing off that rope and dump and just let go and fall into the water. You can't do that anymore because, well, the water has changed. This used to have flowing water, and now it's almost dried up. So the water is actually coming up to the base of the top of the, above the trees. It's hard to see. I don't have a pointer. I can't show where the water line is. Amazingly, this survived. This bridge is a fairly new bridge, so it survived. But you're totally underwater here. All those vehicles you see on the back would be totally underwater. Those trees that are standing would have water up to at least the leaves, if not more. I mean, probably halfway up. But you could not see all this. If you'll stop for a second, you'll see there's these little cinder blocks in the guardrail to the, I don't know if you can see it. You got the group of trees. And if you look south of that, that right there was the dam. If you draw a straight line where the guardrail was, that was the dam. Everything behind that dam was a river up to the top of this ledge. But this has also been washed away so much that it's easily a half a football field wider than the original river. What do they call it? Embankment. So now this is forever changed and much wider than what it used to be. But all that's washed away. It was a beautiful old wooden, it was like they had these concrete pillars with metal or steel, and then they had wood slats in it, because what they would do is take the slats out to allow water to flow. So that's gone. Never to be seen again. The opposite side is where we used to swim and jump off the rope and have a good time. But this is all underwater. I mean, you couldn't, I mean, standing there, you would be totally engulfed in water.
So where was that dam? It was right here, like at the root of these trees across here? Like
yeah, it wasn't even that wide. No, it wasn't even that wide. If you go back, see the bridge piling right here? See that bridge? Okay.
Oh,
I can't.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, see these little part of the metal bridge where the top rail disappears?
Yep.
I see where that one right there. No, go back, left. One more there. That, nope. Go back one. Where it breaks off. That right there. That to that other concrete slab is about how wide the river was. At its widest. From there to there. So the erosion is huge. Huge. And then of course it went up and up high. And if you can see, now we're coming up on Shoemaker's Crossing, and I want you to pause it when we get just about where that red cone is, right about now. Look at the cars.
These are cars that were taken out of the floodwaters.
Right.
So
that's what I was going to get to.
You see those
Yeah.
that orange X's? That means they were checked, for victims and found not to have victims inside of them if they have an orange X on them.
Well, no, not true. Not fully true. An
Really?
orange X means they were investigated. So if you're looking at the X on the vehicle, I'm going to do it mirror because I'm opposite. So if you're looking at the X, your left right here will have a number 0, 1, 2, 3. That's a number of persons found deceased. At the opening of the X right here would be say the HVFD, Hunt Volunteer Fire Department. That means they're the ones that did the inspection. So just because there's an X on it does not mean they're alive. It just means that it was inspected and someone looked. So on some of the houses, you'll see X's and you'll see 1 and you'll see maybe CPVFD as of a Center Point Volunteer Fire Department, the ones who checked it, and 1 deceased. So there are numbers and codes that we use. So stop right here. Okay. This was 100%. See, there was metal roof way up there. You can see the edge of the building. The water was over the edge of that building from here. It came roaring through here. That's how high the water was. You're welcome. Upside down. All of this is 100% underwater. The roads washed away. Used to be a wonderful place. These are homes that were built by a California guy or somebody out of state, and they had just been built. They were 100% full of water. The water came all the way up over the road, over where we are. And all of this is totally engulfed. It's just raging at this point. If you can see in the debris as we scroll by, drive by, the debris is actually over our heads by about 10, 15 feet. This is just an open flow. This is raging. This is not just waving. This is moving really fast because there's no resistance.
It's a huge wall of water.
It's what I call an inland tsunami. And I wish there were some places you could see T-shirts and we just saw a pair of shorts or something pass. You're seeing clothes and debris as you pass by all this. Like right there. There's something red up there. It's blurry, but way up to your left. Go up. Oh, never mind.
Right here. Look at that up there.
Yeah.
You see that?
That's example. That's how high it got.
That's nuts. That's 12 feet higher than we are right now. Easily. And
remember, they measured 67 feet in one place.
That's debris up in the top of a tree. That's where the top of the floodwaters were at some point in time.
At one point, and I wish it was still here, it would have been cool. There was, this is a good picture of the cleanup. This has been cleaned up, and it is, but, whoa, don't move. You see the white in the middle of the river? That's an island. That was not there before the flood. Now, cypress will grow in the middle of water. It just grow up, and you don't need it to have, it will grow through the water, so it doesn't have to be on something like a cedar tree. But all of that white is debris that's been added to the riverbed. So now the river is totally changed. This used to be open because that was a boat ramp. That little opening, you see the blue canoe right there, or kayak. To the left, it looks like a boat ramp. That was a boat ramp. And there's still people, we just saw somebody that are cleaning up. And the other thing I was telling Joe is that the trees were so thick, you couldn't see the homes across the way. That's a good angle of that, Joe. All of that wasn't there. That whole white area is newly deposited. Now, there was a little sliver, but nothing like this. And the sad thing is that now property that had beautiful trees and they could see the river, but couldn't see the road, couldn't hear the road, are now seeing and hearing the road. The view is totally gone. Oh, I got some breaking news I'm going to have to go live with.
You want me to let you go? You can go.
No. This is something I can deal with later. It's that monkey mom, that lady who was a foster mom and traded a foster child for a monkey.
I might have traded one of my kids for a monkey at one point in time when I was raising my 4 boys, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, right. Yeah, another thing is I truly feel for those who had to go and try to recover those that were missing, lost, and it's mentally. We're coming up on Ingram Dam. Now, this is the normal water flow and level for this area right here. This is normal. This is coming into Ingram just past that dam. That bridge goes to a bunch of homes and private property and ranches that you're seeing. But all this is like, that's Ingram Dam. Okay, pause right there. People will stand, that's a normal flow for the dam right now. People stand at the top of that dam and they surf down it. Don't get me going on that stupidity. But that is normal. What we see there is normal. The water, and I can't, Joe, can you take your cursor all the way to the end of the dam up on the other side? And can you go up a little bit? Keep going up. I'll tell you when to stop. Keep going. The water was there. Look at, if you go to the left, can you see the damage right here on the left? Keep going left. Right there. Do you see all that damage underneath that line? That's how high that water was over the dam. A whole total and complete houses floated over that dam without touching it. Beautiful clouds that day. These trucks here are the ones who are picking up all the debris that we see on the road and removing the debris. We're coming up on the Little League football fields. Baseball fields, excuse me, they were underwater. Luckily, the damage was minimal. However, Point Theater is coming up, and it's great because they have a inside section, and then you go in the outside. You're sitting in seats outside, and the theater is in front of you, and it's outside theater. And it looked like a bomb went off and blew the back of the theater out. I mean, it's just the roof and the sides that are standing, but the stage and all that's gone. That Stonehenge that was moved from way out in the country into the Arts Foundation, and it was underwater. It's got structural damage. I don't know where she took your videos. So this is the least amount. This is normal water. That's normal. This is the least amount of damage. You've really seen the worst of it. You've already seen. But these are very old buildings. They were underwater. This is about 20 feet elevated from the river. And you can see the water where it got in. But these are over like 56, no more than that. I think they're pushing 100 years old on those buildings. This is Old Ingram Loop. This is a very old part of Ingram. And it was a little shopping touristy district. It was wonderful. This is Old Ingram. This is Indian Creek. And I used to live off of this. In fact, the property on the other side of the river, you see the trees to the right. I used to live there. My kids used to play off of the old dam, which is not being driven on, is on the right. Boulders took it out. Look at that. Holes in the dam. And to the left, the water barely was trickling over. It was more dry than wet. Now, I don't know if she'll get video of us coming back, but all of this was a raging river. Look at that big boulder. Those big boulders weren't there. It took out the guardrail and everything on the upper bridge. But for those holes to be knocked in that bridge, those are the size boulders that had to be hitting it to get those. I mean, it was huge. If you'll pause it, there's a root ball right there. I'm going to talk about root balls on to the left. It doesn't look big, but that's over 20 feet across. Remember how big that was, Joe? It was huge. Oh, maybe not 20, 15. What do you think, Joe? 15?
Yeah.
It was huge. Like it was like 2 lengths of a car, 2 car lengths width. Anyway, the searchers were going in and they would have 5 or 6 of these root balls of cypresses all balled up together and they were tumbling in the water together and they picked up cars. They removed one of the balls and a full-size car was hidden inside. But other things were hidden inside. You moved one little section and then you'd find a bunch of water moccasins curled up in there. People were getting bit. Dogs got bit. Water moccasins were not happy. But the water got really high here. All of this would be under. This used to be so picturesque and beautiful.
Now
Here's
we're
coming back the
back.
opposite way.
Yep.
Opposite way. You're going to see the root ball or whatever that is on your right when we come up. But this is, people don't realize, I mean, it's hard to gauge by video and stuff, but look at that. That is huge. And the thing is it's better in person, but that is over 100-year-old tree and it was just totally uprooted. And those roots run deep.
It's a massive amount of force that took that out.
And there's hundreds of those along the way. See, this section is kind of what that used to look like, but not with all the debris and big rocks. So you see the little fingers of water moving. It was just an inch or two of water moving across all that. Yeah, that's the guardrail on the bridge that came off and ended up there.
It's all wrapped up and twisted up. Like, oh my gosh, like a bow tie.
And that's not, and that wasn't put there by workers. That was like that. I went to that bridge on the 5th and it was just like that.
That's crazy. The amount of force necessary, that's like Superman type force.
That's boulders and big trees. And I mean, it's carrying everything. And this used to be really, it's just totally destroyed. Now there's a house we're going to see built on stilts. Hopefully we'll see it. If we do, pause it right there. That house, we used to laugh because they built it on those stilts. It was like, it sticks out like a sore thumb. We never have floods that would reach that house. Guess what happened? It reached the top of that. The houses to the right and to the left were gone. And Megan, I think, was over in this area. I saw her filming right on this bridge in this area, helping people. I don't know which house she helped, but that one survived because it was on stilts. And we used to go figure. Wait, Lindsay, I have to disagree with you. Water moccasins don't usually attack even when they're threatened. That is not true. Water moccasins will chase you. I don't know where you live, but here they will charge you. If they feel cornered, they charge. I've seen it. You better have some snake boots on. That's all I got to say.
Gators.
But
get you some gators.
Get you some gators. The water was all the way up here. Yeah.
Look at that. There house on stilts.
And the water was all the way up to the bottom. There was a big shed. See this clearing right here? There was an old house that kind of matched the one next to it, but it was like a shed, but it was built out of the same material. It's totally gone. Yeah, water moccasins will come at you, at least here in Texas. Okay. Go ahead and stop here if you don't mind. See that white walking trail? Totally underwater. This bridge, I drove across this bridge when it was at its highest and you could see the spray of water hitting the very bottom of those concrete things that they built it out of. And the energy you could feel as you cross that bridge was one of the scariest things I think I have gone through. Now, that low bridge that you see is a walking bridge, but just past it is Francisco Limos. There's Tranquility Island, which is the walking path crosses where the river kind of goes like that and kind of goes around. That grassy knoll in the middle is actually an island, and it's called Tranquility Island. It wasn't tranquil no more. But if you'll go a little further, I'll show them how far the water came up to the street. We had buildings and things that disappeared. We had a splash pad. Go ahead and stop. That you'll see that little building with the triangle covering. No, no. Where the two trees are to your right, in the middle, right there in the middle. Just next to that was they just spent, I think someone said $200,000 and built this exercise thing where people can pull up and do all these exercising coverings. It's 100% gone, and they just finished it. But do you see that building you were pointing at? The tree next to that building on the left, the first building. Yeah, keep going left. That tree right there, the water was up to there. Up to there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about the elevation of the bridge deck. Crazy.
All of that was it was raging. Trees were coming and hitting our bridge and then rolling under it. The big cypress trees that are 15, 20 feet long. These cypress trees are tall. And they were on their side.
Look at all of that.
All that's
right
gone. There. Yeah. And we're surprised if you see there's little itty bitty trees. Those things are young, so they just laid down and popped back up. But we lost so many cypress trees. It's just unreal.
Look at those clouds. Those are beautiful.
Aren't they gorgeous? I know we had a great day, didn't we?
Yes,
Not a great topic. Oh, this is over near Center Point. Or no. This is off of the Veterans Highway. Remember we drove across and I showed you where the house ended up that was on video? Really? My cat just jumped up and grabbed the doorpost and slid down. Sorry. So yeah, where are you at? Rivers and
this is Veterans.
This is Veterans. Okay. Is it? Yeah. Sorry, my bad. The other one was not. That was probably Luke. Yeah, that was another one. This was all these trees were laying down. I mean, this was raging through. There's the house.
Look at
that house
right
floated all the way down to there. I don't know where it's originated, but it was not there. It was deposited, and it's kind of on the side. It's kind of like a little inlet.
Yeah, it's not even in the main channel. It didn't hit the bridge and come to a rest. It was off to one of the side flood areas. I don't even know how. That wasn't built there. That house was not built.
And the houses, and you see those houses to the right, a lot of those disappeared. That stayed, but the one to the left of it, to our right, disappeared. You just see a concrete slab there. It's gone. The sad thing is that right here this is not where the strength of the river was. It was bad. Like what came through Camp La Junta, which is how you say it, Camp La Junta, or everybody does here. Is this Center Point?
I don't know.
I'll give me a second. I think that's Center Point, because that Center Point up there, you could see, well, if you back it up, I'll show you. That field is where we had that field right there. It's empty. Hundreds and hundreds of emergency vehicles in that field for 2 weeks. It was amazing, the help and the assistance we got. But you could not see that field when you crossed that bridge because the trees were so thick. Now it's just open field. Came off, yes, state of confusion. It came off its foundation and floated. We had multiple homes, including one that had people in it with their flashlights, multiple, and they're sitting here doing this with them, trying to get attention.
Look at all of that stone deposited there.
Yeah, that's deposited. State of confusion. MB, I know it sounds dangerous to be out before the waters go down. I'm just happy she was there to protect Joe Schmo, though. I was out in this before all this went down, and let me tell you, this is nothing. This is like easily 50% cleaned up, easily. In some areas.
You kept me from going in and checking out a wildcat in a cave, though.
No, I didn't actually stop you. I just had your back.
Yeah, you're like Jiminy Cricket. You're like, you probably shouldn't be doing that, Joe. And I'm like, but I want to. And you're like, you probably shouldn't be doing that.
And my lead shooter, I kept in the car. Do you know, My lead shooter, I rusted and I have to clean it now because it got wet.
Mm.
From that, you didn't finish telling about the rain. You didn't finish telling about the rain.
Like Milli Vanilli?
No, like how we were there and all of a sudden a little spring shower turned out to make the
Right.
Lewis Hayes Park flooded majorly again just from a 20-minute downpour.
Right. And
And
they
we got
sent out
soaked.
flash flood warnings and all that fun stuff.
Part of the problem is they no longer know where the rivers are going to flood. They do not know what areas are at what risk with what amount of rain that comes down because everything is so different. They have no idea how this river is going to behave. Where's it going to flash flood or is it? They have no idea. Everything's a guessing game at this point.
State of confusion knows. You blame it on the rain.
Here comes the rain again. Who had a mind to disagree? I couldn't help it. But all of this was underwater. Yeah, Center Point. See those stairs going up? It hit all the way up that high. Now this is coming out of Center Point, going back towards the main road. It's Highway 27, going towards Comfort. This was
is way downstream of
way.
downstream of Kerrville.
This is getting to where it was just it was
Look at
flooded.
look at
It was up
look
high.
at how high the bark is stripped on these trees, though.
Don't you? Yeah, that's debris up in there in that fork of that tree where you had your marker.
So this bridge was likely underwater.
Yeah.
No way in and no way.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, this bridge was definitely underwater. Look at that.
Yeah.
This is all above the level of the bridge. Wow. So Center
Now you can
Point
see it
is
right
that,
there.
the Center Point is that volunteer fire department that lost all
Well,
of
I
their-
know. I used to manage these apartments. These apartments are easily 20 feet from the riverbed. And do you know what the difference is? This riverbed has maybe this much water flowing through it year round, an inch, maybe two. It's one of those where you can walk on it and it mushes. You know what I mean? It's got soft settlement, but it's only got about that much water above it year round. These are at least 20 feet up and they had halfway full of water. I'm glad I wasn't managing it now. But you'll see, look how deep that is. Look, I mean, it's really elevated to the bed.
Yeah,
They
there's
all
the
got, I mean,
bottom
that royally got hit.
doors and windows, and if you draw that line straight across, I mean that's 30 feet above the river level easily.
Easily. This is called G Street Bridge. Now, it sometimes will flood, but not like this. Look at this. There's water here where there's never water. And that's one thing I said to Joe. Where there's water now is usually dry. What usually dry is wet. What wet is now dry. This right here had at least 4 or 5 feet of water in it. Where usually it's like this. Kid you not. I mean, you can see how.
Look at that debris mark in that tree right there. See where my cursor is? The debris.
Keep going
is
to the left. Keep going to look at that other tree right next to it. No, I meant the one right, there too. But that one, look at all the debris in that. There's a debris ball up there. But you're right, where you were on that other tree in the far left is how high that water was. Good, that's a good marker. Keep going. That little one to the far left. That one almost coming up. Keep going. Keep going. That. Above the timestamp. There we go. I want to get my mouse a minute. Yeah. I'm glad y'all are going to talk about the meeting. This is a walk. Now, we have a walking path that goes 3 miles in Kerrville along the river, and it's totally destroyed. Look up here. Look up high. You can see where all the debris. Look how high. Yep, right there. I'm glad y'all are going to talk about that meeting. That's something that I was hoping to do is I would like to see a panel on that meeting because, and have some people that live here talk about it because this is Lewis Hayes Park and it was flooded. If you pause it, do you see that mural on the bridge right there? No, the one closer, that one right there. When we had that rain come in, the water was a couple of inches up to that on, was it Saturday? When we had that little rain, it flooded that far up. But I think a lot of people need to be talking about that meeting. That was horrible.
There were
Okay.
some interesting questions and some interesting answers.
Water
and
was
some
up to here, by the way. Water was up to these trees right here, by the way. See that sidewalk? Water was up where that telephone pole was. Right there. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things.
You know
Yeah,
what's
I agree,
funny?
MB.
You know what's funny to me is we have like less than 100 people watching this, and everybody that's watching, thank you so much for watching.
Yes, thank you.
Be sure
How many do
and
I have?
like and subscribe. But this is an important issue, and there's 100 people watching. When if we were doing a live like on
I got
Lori
9.
Daybell, if we were doing a live on Lori Daybell, we'd have like 500 people watching. And
Yeah, well, I've
this
got
to me
9
is
people on my end.
so much more impactful. Like this affects people's lives. This affected people's lives. And I went boots on the ground to provide this footage so you could see that it's not just numbers, that it's not just a map. It's not just a legislative hearing, although this relates directly to the legislative hearing that was last Thursday that we need to talk about more. And I would do it again 100 times out of 100.
Well, I'm going to stop. Lindsay, our water moccasins or cottonmouths are poisonous here in Texas. You can die from those bites. They do dry bite, but they are aggressive and they are poisonous. I'm a first responder. I picked up many people who've been bit and taken them to the hospital with the snake if we can catch it.
Yeah, water snakes. So water snakes are different than water moccasins. There's two different breeds, and you should probably know the difference between them if you are in an area that has both of them.
Like us. This here is Francisco Lemos. I don't know. I can't remember how you were saying it. But if you see the little red sign with the human body with the flagger sign, you take where that flag arm is standing, stop. And all right, now take your arrow and put it on that body and draw a line left just under those trees. That's how high the water got right there.
You can see the line, like you can see
it
right across there.
It took out a sober living house that was way up on the bank. I mean, it was way up, and all of this was raging underwater. Raging took out the bridge. What? Did you just see my text?
No. State of confusion.
Baby Joe, I could put the red lips on.
Oh. We'll draw in those viewers one way or another. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Well, do you know what's nice? So a lot of people will rewatch later. We do have that.
Yep. And thank you for that.
But,
anybody who is on replay crew, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But I want to say right here where you're sitting. Now, I was trying to explain this to Joe. You had hills coming off on each side and it came down to the river. Where that truck is, dirt was higher. The natural topography of the land was higher than the roof of that truck. That's how much dirt moved and was no longer there. And there was a man where you see the porta potty down there a little further, the little yellow porta potty. You had a kind of a, and so I can't do it with this thing. I don't have a mouse. So right here where the top of the car is above his car, go a little higher and then draw a slope and kind of come down, and then it draw a slope, come down. It flattened out and then you went to the river. This is now a gentle slope, totally changed. The debris pile in the background on the far right, if you take the nose of the truck and go back, you see the tractor. That debris field is lower than what the land was up there. And so this is totally reshaped. And there was a man who had those light up glass canoe looking things, and he had a trailer and a camper, and he was camping out on the river's edge. I have no idea if he lived. No clue. But this is totally changed. And what worries me is when we have a flood now, it's going to come straight up because we no longer, that rock was where the hill, that rock that we just passed with the flag, the hill was sharp embankment to that rock. So I would say it was higher than that excavator there, or whatever you call that. That's how much dirt has been removed. The land has changed that much.
And they need to assess it. They need to have an engineering assessment.
Because now that when that floods, it's going to go straight before it could go straight and hit the wall and go forward. So this right here is the natural height of the river. This is normal. What's not normal is all that debris and the twisted trees and all of that. All that debris is not normal. Now, this home right here got destroyed. There were some cabins to the left of it. It's totally gone. There was a cabin and house my right of it, left of it, my right. It's totally gone. There's no building anymore. And look how far that is from the river. Now I'm going to cry.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is after. Is it raining yet?
No. Yes, it is.
Okay, so this is after we walked to the caves and we came back. And I got my phone out of the car because I forgot to turn on my body worn cam, or I missed.
You want me to see if I can get mine to read the card and put it on for you?
We'll do that. We'll do that on another one.
Okay.
But tell us about this memorial here that's at the dam, kind of upstream of downtown Kerrville.
It is between Ingram. Well, this actually is our water plant facility is at the other side of this dam. If you quickly look at the handrails, see how they're bent? The water came all the way up to the first set of steps. And so anyway, all this was underwater. You see the electric or whatever that pole thing is over to the far left. Water was close to that. All of these crosses, this one man went and bought a bunch of fence wood slats, and he started making small crosses for all the girls, and you'll see it later. And then he decided, I'm going to make a cross for everyone that was found unalive. So each one of these crosses has a name and represents an unalive person. So he just kept doing it for, I think, 2 weeks. He was out in this heat building these crosses, and family and other people in the community have come along and decorated them. He had a group of people, I think, helping him paint the names on them. So this is a memorial, and there should be one for every missing person that we know of that have passed away.
And when we were out and we walked to the caves and then we started walking back, it started raining a little bit, just big drops, bloop, bloop, bloop. And then we heard, we saw lightning and heard thunder that was about a mile away. And we kept walking back, and it just kept raining more and more consistently. And by the time I was at the end of this memorial walk, it was raining pretty solid. And we're right here by a dam. So I thought that was significant. Like, to me personally, that it started raining while I was walking along this memorial.
And the interesting thing is, our bills were so soaked, they were dripping water in my car. You can see the water line. Look at the water line on those trees. And those trees, I mean, that's 20 feet. I know I keep saying 20 feet, but that's really about what it is.
Right there.
And you got to understand, there was houses and builders and big full size. If you've never seen a cypress tree, it's hardwood and it's big, floating over that dam without touching it. And the water plant had to be shut down because it got water, but there was some damage to it, but nothing major. But anyway, this I'm going to go back to this. I get emotional. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm just gonna let this play and let
Yeah.
the raindrops fall where they fall.
Houses floated over this dam. Thank you, State of Confusion. What you don't
So-
have is if you pan to the left, there's 27 crosses with sunflowers and other stuff for the Camp Mystic.
Right. Yeah, if I were a good content creator, I probably would have had some music on there, like some
It's perfect. And
the
reflective.
silence was okay for me.
and just know that that water coming over that dam is a lot more than usual. And if you're there, it was raining. I can't hear that stuff, but I could feel the vibrations. But I think you're right, Joe. I think that I felt it was almost like we're standing there and heaven's crying with us. Heaven's crying for us with the rain. But it's so surreal.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see when you get there. Yeah. It's a lot of work. I don't know who painted that. There they are. There are the crosses right there. Do you want to pause?
That's Camp Mystic.
Those Camp Mystic crosses. Those are big raindrops.
They are. They were huge. Like the biggest raindrops ever.
And if you're watching and you can see them, you know it's big. And they didn't hurt, but man, they were big. I don't know why I feel like the heavens opened up and cried. But it was getting lightning and getting worse, so for our safety, we needed to go.
Name's Teresa Davis.
Okay, we'll watch that interview in a second. So, so that was Saturday. Saturday night, we went and walked to the memorial to the memorial wall. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do that now or later, because we just watched a memorial and it's so.
I think we should do it now because it's so impactful. I think if you break it up, it might.
Okay. All right. Let me get to the memorial wall then.
I drive by this memorial wall every single day, and I was not ready to go and stop and walk it, but I've watched it grow from just a little bitty thing to this huge memorial. And thank you, Joe, for taking that walk with me.
Of course.
Lindsay said it happened on a Thursday, Friday. I sent my girl with Friends Church to camp on Sunday following. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I won't camp near a river's edge again.
All right. So we went to the memorial wall on Saturday night, and I went back on Sunday before I left town. And I think this may include footage of both.
Yeah, that's during the day.
Oh, yeah. So this is Sunday. Or no, maybe it was us driving by on Saturday before we came back.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yep. So this is Saturday night. So we drove by on Saturday during the day and came back on Saturday night.
I'm glad we did. It was cooler. We were pretty much alone except for a few people. It was good.
Right. And so what this is people have taken pictures of the victims and put them up on this chain link fence in downtown Kerrville, along with memorial type of things with their pictures.
Well, I want to explain something a little further. The pictures are laminated, so one person provided all the lamination, but you took it down. There's a wooden cross with a rainbow in the foreground. There's 27 of those. The little wooden someone made, and they're big crosses and painted rainbows on them, one for each of the Camp Mystic girls. Just FYI. So you're going to see those, and then you've got little cedar plants that somebody put one for each girl.
Is this not playing?
It's playing.
Okay, good.
What you doing, Joe?
Did it disappear? All right, let me do this. Let me try and add it back again.
While they're here, I'm going to warn you. This is a warning. Some people can handle it and some may not. You will see flags and clothing from camp people, including a shirt from Camp Mystic that was pulled from the river. You will see that.
Hold on. I'm not seeing it on StreamYard.
I'm not either. Wait, are you bringing it in the same? There we go.
Let's try it again.
Try it again. So you will see flags, you will see shirts and clothing that were pulled from the river that belonged to campers. Just saying. So if you can't handle that, just be forewarned. Oh, Dawn, you blessed me. You said I'm so calm. I'm usually not the calm one. I'm always a ball of energy.
I'm in the process of taking that poem that we saw and transforming it into a song that I want to play with memorial pictures. So,
Okay. Connie, we don't fully know the full numbers of survivors, to be all honest with you. There's no clear number.
there's an official number, and most people do not agree with that official number. Most people in the
I-
know.
I won't give a number because of that.
Yep.
I know numbers I shouldn't know, but I'm not going to give them. Those are the wooden crosses.
Why, thank you, Ada.
So I've got my avatar up right now. My avatar is Charlie. Charlie crossed the Rainbow Bridge a year ago.
That's right. I forgot.
And I picture him with these victims on the other side of the Rainbow Bridge. They're all there together. That's the way that I deal with this. He's there waiting for me. So hopefully I can qualify to cross the Rainbow Bridge one day. But all of these children and entire families wiped out is just devastating.
There was a family of 5, families of 3, 4, grandparents and grandkids, mother, father, children, grandparent, mother, father, children. Any and all combination.
Yeah, Trace,
Tracy, you're correct.
all the kids going back to school in empty seats, but keep in mind that these camps weren't just Kerrville local kids. They were also from other areas, Dallas, Austin, Houston, and
Houston.
beyond, like outside of Texas.
Most of the people were not from Kerrville. Most of them were not. There were some, but the majority were not from Kerrville.
Which is so hard for the reunification part.
Tell me about it. I was there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. My bad. Yeah. We had families that were out of country on vacations while their kids were at camp, had to fly home. 20-hour flights to get here, of flight and travel time. And not know what's going on with your child. Oh, I know.
Very,
Yeah,
very painful.
I do now refer to the Guadalupe of the River of Angels. That's how I see it.
Yep.
It's hollow ground, so to speak. To me, it's sacrosanct. You can't. I can't imagine fishing or swimming or doing anything in it anymore. Oh, little Carlos Romero, baby, it's gonna make me cry. And then you got 3 people above him, his mother and father with him, all 3 of them. I know. It's hard to see, but they're photos in amongst all the flowers. There's so many flowers. And what's nice is when you walk up, they have a bucket of flowers and they say, take flowers and put them. They're free for us to put up. We didn't have to pay for them. We didn't have to buy them. Look at that little baby, Blakey.
Oh my gosh.
He was 18 months old.
Trace, there were multiple families that disappeared from RV parks.
Yeah.
Multiple
Yeah.
families.
Yeah. There's multiple family. There's a pastor, his wife, and a grandchild that's missing. Multiple families. There's a lot still missing. I think the first week of school is going to be really tough for a lot of people, for those who lost their kids and those who were friends of them, and the teachers and the staff and faculty. Now, the further down we go, it gets thinner because people haven't put as much. It keeps growing. Look at all the handprints. I think she was one of the first found. Here's the clothing, the t-shirts, the camp flag or blanket. Just be forewarned. Look away if you need to take a mental break. Each one of those crosses was the name of a camper. Was written on each one of those crosses.
So if you went to summer camp when you were a kid, you know that they have camp challenges. And this is a cloth from one of the camps. I don't know what camp it came from, but it was from one of the camps that was found and put up here on the memorial. And you can see all of the challenges. You can see the crossword puzzle. I mean, it was just, they were there.
And then the camp. And their t-shirts, the camp t-shirts that they wore. And the Crocs, there's a ton of Crocs in this thing. So you got a t-shirt and pair of shorts, 2 pair of shorts, a flag. Heart of the Hills. That's the camp that was from, because it's Heart of the Hills.
Okay.
They lost 2 camp directors, one of Heart of the Hills, I think it was, and Camp Mystic directors. Both died. The Camp Mystic one, he was recovered alive, but died very soon and quickly after being recovered of his injuries. He did save a lot of people, a lot of girls. He did save a lot of girls. This is a volunteer shirt. Backpack, hats. Flags. All right, Joe, I'm going to go back by there tonight. Oh, pause it. I don't have my bracelet on because I got it wet, but those little pink pencil holder bags, they had little knitted prayer cloths, and then we had bracelets. Do you have your bracelet? Mine's in the car. I was cleaning. I was doing heavy cleaning, and I didn't want to break it, so I took it off. But it says, what does yours say? I said mine says Kerrville Strong. What does yours say?
Mine says Texas Strong.
Okay. Mine says Kerrville Strong, but it's got the green for the camp. But you could also take a bracelet. So it was way cool that people are supplying little things that people can take with them to have as a part of
I
this.
thought it was cool that the color pattern matches my Justice.
Yeah.
Tylee, JJ, and Charles. So
Yeah.
It syncs. So I'm letting this play out in real time because I need this to process.
Mm. Oh,
So,
there's where you got the bracelet.
Yep, there it is. It's in there. That's it right there.
We just took one. We took one.
Yeah. So I'm on the outside looking in on these cases. Lori Daybell, I'm on the outside looking in. But through Kresha, I got to know JJ. And through my boots on the ground, through you, Ada K, and through other people in the community, I got to know Hill Country people. And I grieve with you all. I grieve with Kresha and Megan and Kay and Larry. And this helps me to process my grief. So thank you for being there with me that night, because I needed this to process my grief because of all these beautiful children whose lives were lost.
I know everybody. Yeah, I know a lot of children were lost, but a lot of just people, humans,
Yeah.
grandparents, parents,
Yeah.
children, sisters, brothers, cousins, co-workers, best friends, even frenemies. There are no enemies when you have something like this happen. Everybody comes together. And that is one thing I love about this community. There have been hard times in this community, but I have never seen the love and support that we've had with this. Now this is already filling up. It's still growing. No, look at the angel wings. Look at 47 to 25. And the one next to her. I think that's a mother and daughter. Yeah, that was her daughter. Mother and daughter. No, 47, 56. Yeah, mother and daughter.
That's where I put my sunflowers.
Granny. What does it say, Granny? Oh. The grandchild did that.
Hold on. Let's go back.
Back a little more.
A little more. A little more.
A little more. Okay, pause. Grammy, you taught me what beauty is. I miss you. Hug always, Heather.
So much, Jody.
Miss you so much, Jody. Our hearts and prayers are with you guys.
Yep.
And then we turned around and came back, and you took a bunch of still photos.
Yep. And hold on, let me unpresent that. There we go. I'm putting together a song that's kind of a revised version of that poem that we saw the other night. Remember that poem that one of the locals wrote? So I rewrote some of the words of that, and I'm putting together a song. I tried to get it ready for today, but I crashed. I'm still catching up on my sleep. But we have a couple of interviews that are kind of interesting. There were a couple of local ladies that let me interview them about the impacts of the flood on their lives and on the lives of their families. And there's one gal that I know you know works with the local mental health company that's Hill Country, that's deep in this.
MHDD.
Yep, Hill Country MHDD. So we're going to watch her interview, but we're going to watch the other gal's interview first, as long as I can figure out how to present it. So let me find the interview. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Here we go. I found it. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. So I also interviewed her dad, but I didn't realize until after the fact that my phone was not recording the interview. And
Dude did not tell him.
I did. I told him that my phone was not recording, and would you mind coming back so we can get that 5 minutes back of that interview because it was amazing? He's like, yes, I'll come back. And we never got that 5 minutes back. But this is the interview with his daughter, who grew up in Hill Country. She doesn't live here now, but she actually was coming into town on July 4th. And they ended up not being able to come into town on July 4th, but they got into town on July 6th. So it is an interesting interview, and I appreciate her sharing her time with me very much.
Is your
Okay, are
sound
we
turned
doing
up?
the thing where it's not playing again?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And is your sound turned up? Oh, go to Google. Yep. Okay.
No. This is nuts. What is going on? See, every time I come back to StreamYard, it shows it not playing. So what if I just play it? You tell me if it's playing or not playing after I hit play.
It's playing, but I have no sound.
Really? All right.
All right. Well, how are you sharing it? Wait. How are you sharing the video in StreamYard? What are you clicking on?
My YouTube studio video.
No. When you're in StreamYard, you're going to click on the little the share screen, and one of them will have audio and one will not. And then what you're going to do is share the entire window, and you got to click add. It's also share tab audio. When you're under tab or entire screen or window, look at there's also share audio. If you may want to go to entire screen and share audio. Window, you cannot. It only can be in Chrome tab or entire screen. If it doesn't work in Chrome tab, do it in entire screen and try. You have to click share audio.
What? Why do I have to do that?
I don't know, but it's just the way it is. I know.
Raised in Hunt, Texas, and I've been going to this congregation in Kerrville since I
Are we
was about
good?
5 years old, and my parents still live here and attend this congregation.
So you've been going to this ward for your entire life?
Yes.
And has it always been about the same size, or has it grown?
It has grown, which has been amazing to see, especially lots of young families coming in. That's been really cool to see as our community grows and our congregation grows.
So obviously I'm here covering the flooding on July 4th. How close to that does your family live?
For about 20 to 25 years, my family lived in Hunt, and our neighborhood experienced some flooding. My parents recently moved about 2 years ago to the town of Ingram, and they live high up on a hill, so they were safe. But the places that we'd grown up our whole life don't look the same anymore, and did experience some hardships.
Yeah. So did you respond to help out afterwards?
I did. I was in College Station on the 4th of July. I was planning on coming home that day to spend the holiday with my family, and very quickly realized that it was not the holiday that we had planned. And I decided to wait because my parents were worried about me on the road. So I decided to wait. And I woke up at the crack of dawn that Saturday and came out here. And I immediately met my brother and my dad out in Hunt on Saturday. And first we went to a family friend's home and we helped there. And then we went to the actual community of Hunt and just began helping out wherever we could. We started at some of the churches there that we knew some people there. We had grown up going to events there. Those churches became kind of a hub for emergency services when the official response wasn't there yet. So we started there and kind of worked our way out.
People that you know that were affected.
Yes, I think you'll be hard pressed to find anybody in this area, even in this county, who does not know someone who was impacted by this disaster. I think it's still really hard to talk about a lot of that, but we do know people who were impacted. We do know people who lost their lives, who lost family members. Yes, it hit. I heard someone say, this didn't hit close to home, this hit home. And that is exactly the way I feel.
So how do you feel the recovery is going now?
I think it's slow but steady. And as we've seen kind of the initial rush of volunteers start to dwindle, which makes sense. People have to go back to their lives. People have been so generous in offering whatever resources they have, whether it's equipment or support or supplies, or just offering comfort. But some people who are not from here have had to go home. And so some of those systems have started to dwindle, but it's going to take time. I think anybody who has driven anywhere in this area that has been impacted knows that it's not a quick fix. There's still so much debris. There's just so much stuff everywhere. But it's slow but steady.
People that came in to help from outside of the area are leaving now. Where do you think that puts the needs most right now for the community to continue to recover?
That's kind of tricky to think. I think on July 6th, when we had our first church meeting here, the first one after the flood, we talked about immediate needs and long-term needs. And we said, we as an organization are set up to handle those long-term needs. We're here. There's people who have different skills to offer. I can't say that there's one pressing need now. I think it's going to show up in different areas. I think as more of the debris gets cleared, some other things are going to pop up. Maybe there's some people who are more vulnerable who need some longer term needs met. I think there's some psychological impacts that are going to be addressed. I think as this community, everyone starts school again, I think just the support, I think, is the number one need now, of just letting people know that we are not forgotten, that this community has not been pushed by the wayside just because it's been some time.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can help with that.
Yes, yeah.
Any thoughts on what you think is the most positive thing that you can find that came out of this?
I think just being able to reconnect with some parts of our faith that we may have taken for granted. No one really thinks that something like this is going to happen to them, or that they're going to lose people, they're going to lose friends, they're going to lose places that they love, and that their faith and their ability to continue to go on is going to be tested. I don't think anyone really ever thinks that. So to have this happen and just to see an entire community, both of people who know each other and of strangers, come together, that has been amazing. And that's one thing that I don't want to see go away, just because the immediate needs maybe have passed. Just that coming together, doing what needs to be done, and supporting each other no matter what.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Any final thoughts?
I'm just so grateful for everyone who has come here to cover this and everyone who has shared their story, because I know it's not an easy thing. But like I said, I don't think that this is something that we need to forget about. So
Thank you very much.
thank you. I appreciate it.
So
Sweet
What
one
do you-
woman. Oh,
what?
yeah. Ditto.
Yeah.
Very sweet woman.
Yeah. I have another one coming up too. And I'm
Someone asked a question and it was very valid. Did they ever drain the lake?
I
Well, I don't
started
know.
that. I started that to go back to it later. That's funny.
No, you don't drain the lake because there's no lake. It's 125 miles ish worth of river that dumps into Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake was near empty when this happened, and it's regenerated very nicely. But they have lowered the water in some areas where they've had targets and things, and they have done some draining in areas. But as a whole, no, there's no way to really do that
No,
effectively.
and most of this riverbed, which is really odd to me, is they have a bunch of dams along the way. And we've seen dams that were wiped out, and we've seen dams that are still intact, and we've seen dams that are compromised to some degree of compromisation. I just made up
All
another
the major
word.
dams are perfectly fine. They've been cleared, but the minor dams are the ones that you saw the damage on.
Right. But there's no way to control the water level upstream of those. Like there's no gates to lift to let water through. There's none of that on these dams. They're just concrete structures in the way of the riverbed.
And everything goes from a higher elevation to lower. It's not like we have a bunch of area that we can dam up and it's all in the same. It's too windy. It's too much elevation changes. There's just no way.
Yeah.
And they literally from the whole length, at least all the way to the main dam in Kerrville, would have to dig 15 feet down because just so you understand how much debris. They were walking on what's now the new riverbed, a line of people, and they saw a part of a trailer and they realized, hey, this is an RV under our feet. So they dug that out. Well, how tall is an RV? 7 feet on tires, maybe 8 feet on tires and frame and everything?
8 feet wide, 11 feet high.
11 feet. Okay. So they got that out of the bed, right? Directly underneath it was a car on its side, not upside down, on its side. So now you've got 11 feet, then you've got the width of the vehicle, and then you have maybe the riverbed or just above it. That's how much deposit. So width of a car is how many feet?
The width of a car or how tall a car is?
Width.
8 feet ish.
So you're looking at 19, 20 feet. You got the RV on top of a car that's on its side. But I was told. And there's and there's debris on top of it. There's one picture where you see 4 tires sticking up. That was a car upside down, but all you see is about that much of the tires sticking up. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
It's hard to understand until you're sitting there looking at it.
Yeah. And to the people who are watching on Megan's channel, thank you for watching for starters. Megan was here for the first hour and like 15 minutes ish, but she had to go take care of personal business. She left her channel running so we can keep talking about this super important topic. So if you're still listening on Megan's channel, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. And we're just trying to cover a very sensitive, heavy topic. And so I was in Kerrville over the weekend. Ada K helped show me around, and I got a couple of decent interviews, and I got a really good interview. It's only 3 minutes long, but it's so cute. We're going to hit at the end of this. Ada K, you're going to love it. I know you're going to love it.
I'm looking forward to this. And yes, y'all are talking about Megan. She is a beautiful soul. I haven't met her in person yet. I know it's crazy. I want to meet her.
Oh, I was so
I
gonna
want to
ask
hug that
her.
beautiful soul. I want to thank her for coming to my community and
I
putting
was
her blood, sweat, and tears into our recovery.
speaking of blood, sweat, and tears. I was gonna ask her. So the last time I saw her in person was at Lori Daybell's sentencing on July 25th, before I came out here, and I was out in the hot Phoenix sun, sweating my butt off, and I gave her and Kresha were together when they came out of the courthouse, and I gave Kresha a hug, and Kresha said she was reminded of that scene in that movie where the guy gets slimed with the other guy's sweat. And I was like, I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to get copyright stricken, but I wanted to ask Megan if she felt she got slimed that day too, because I was sweating.
I don't know. I hugged you when you were pretty sweaty. I didn't feel like you slimed me.
Oh, I didn't
I
ask her
called.
yet.
We had said our goodbyes on Saturday, and after church and lunch, I called him. I said, "You got to get over here. We got divers." He went.
I went and filmed divers in the Texas sun.
We were like,
I
"You're in
was a
church
little bit
clothes."
sweaty.
You were like,
I was a little bit
"You're
sweaty.
such a." I'll tell you what, I got to tell you guys what links this guy went to get these videos for y'all. He is a trooper. I had him standing in, I got sunburned. Look, it's healing. I got sunburned in 20 minutes. And then I got him going down a river ravine and going through twigs and climbing through a jungle and looking for caves and finds a bobcat. I mean, this guy is adventurous.
I am adventurous a little bit. So somebody said the other day I got hustle, and I took that as a great compliment.
It is.
I'll hustle. I'll go after anything that helps victims and survivors to deal with that being where they're at. And it's a tough place. It's a tough place to be. Kerr County are tough places to be right now because of all of the victims and all of the surviving that has to go on, all of the recovery that has to go on. But you know what? I was encouraged by, Ada K, the indomitable spirit of the people in Kerr County. Yeah. They are strong. They are strong, and they will recover together. Like I don't know that I've ever seen anything like it.
Well, I want to say real quick that remember when I told you were going to come in, when I-10 is here and Kerrville comes off of I-10 and goes to the west. You come in, the town looks perfectly normal. You can't even tell there's a disaster. You go through town, you don't see anything that resembles a disaster, and you get that main bridge that crosses the Guadalupe that goes through our town. That's when you see your first glimpse of trouble. And I think you talked about that the other day.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if this works. Let's hope this works. So this is a wonderful young lady that works with mental health care in emergency situations. She's responded.
I saw her.
Yeah, she's responded. She's administrative. On the administrative side of the mental health care, she's not like a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, but she is deeply entrenched in helping to respond to this.
My name is Jennifer Marquis. I am a resident of Hill Country, Kerrville, Texas, and I have been since 1986. I am a business analyst for Hill Country in HPD, which stands for Mental Health and Developmentally Delayed.
Okay, so how long have you been in Hill Country?
So I've been in the Hill Country for almost 40 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I graduated high school here in 2002, Ivy High School. I was a graduate of Shriner University here in Kerrville in 2007.
Okay.
And I have an accounting degree, and so I'm also an accountant as well as the purchaser for my entity as well.
Okay. Very cool. So how long have you been working with
Hill Country?
Yes.
11 years.
Okay.
Yes. So I've been through several disasters with my entity. We had Wimberley in 2015. That was a flood. And then 3 years ago in Uvalde, we had a school shooting.
And your organization responded to that?
That's correct. We're
Okay.
considered a first responder for emotional support.
Okay. And do you go boots on the ground for those responses?
Yes.
So you actually traveled down to Uvalde?
Not for that one,
Okay.
but I responded from here. But
Okay.
mostly our licensed professional counselors were down there.
Gotcha.
This is a little bit different situation where we just needed a lot more people. There was just a lot more people here that needed more emotional support than
Right.
Uvalde.
So tell me about that. Let's talk about Wimberley.
Wimberley, yes, correct. It's a much smaller flood. There were a few people that were killed, unfortunately.
In 2015?
Yeah.
Okay. And did that take out a camp or an RV park
No,
or?
not so much. It was mostly in the middle of town. It took out residential areas.
Okay.
So there were some families that were lost completely.
Okay. And so your organization responded to
We
that.
did.
But
I
the
remember that.
flooding event was much, much bigger and more disastrous.
More bigger in scale. And it not only affected everyone in Kerr County, it affected anybody that was at those camps. So that could be nationwide.
How close to the flooding do you actually live? Like that night when you wake up the morning of July 4th type of thing?
We live in the middle of town, so we're not far from the river, but it did not impact us. But as soon as I started seeing Facebook posts about people that were missing, I immediately contacted our incident commander. His name's Randy Consford. And so what my position is I help logistical, meaning I help coordinate anything that they need, supplies, hotel rooms, anything like that. So vehicles, anything that they might need to respond to this disaster. That morning, we did not realize how big this was yet. And so I immediately contacted him, and I was able to get him to come down here. That morning, I started seeing that people were starting to congregate at the Ingram Elementary School, and I contacted one of my friends that had a food truck, and I just needed to do something. Even though I wasn't on, the search and rescue team, I figured there was something else that I could do. So I worked a food truck at Ingram Elementary, and that's where they were doing the reunification. When I found out that that's where that was taking place, I called Randy right away, and we had our licensed professional counselors come to the elementary school. And so I saw many of my coworkers there. Of course, then the next day, the real work started to come. A lot of our counselors were able to make contact with all of those parents. Those kids were now moved more closer to town and from Hunt, where we could not access at the time. So that's when our real work started, was the day after.
And what did that entail then?
So what that means is we started providing emotional support to the campers, their parents, even to the first responders, all of the volunteers for this entire disaster.
And how long were you active for that? Or are you still active in that?
I still am, correct. I actually went to Hunt that week on Thursday and Friday, and was out with our team at several of the camps. And I got to talk with many of the campers, got to help some of them. Like I was talking about in my testimony. One of the campers was from Colombia, and part of my job is to schedule all of our travel. And so I am real familiar with changing lots of plane tickets and things like that. So our team isn't. So I just happened to be there where somebody needed my help. So I was able to get her home that very day. And so I've actually had a couple of conversations with her since, just checking on her and seeing how she is. And then, of course, that next day, we were led to this random residential area in between Ingham and Hunt. There was most of all of the homes in that community were just blown through. And so I was able to make contact with one of my son's parents, one of my son's other kids in his school, his mother. And it was just so crazy how you just live in the right spot at the right time. So, but I actually really got to see our professional counselors in action for the first time, and it was just amazing. People have been very receptive to speaking with us. We wear green shirts, and now we are known as the green shirts. And so anybody that might need that support just to talk it out, they seek us out. We also started something called the Emotional Support Center here in downtown Kerrville. It's open 7 days a week. And we created just a very safe space, not clinical. You can come in and talk to a counselor. And it's a very soothing environment, not like a doctor's office. So people have really started to embrace that.
A lot of the visual impact of this event you see driving down the road now, and this is 4 weeks later. I drove out there yesterday. So you can see the impact, the physical impact of the flood there. You can see the destroyed homes, and then you can make the correlation to people owned those homes, people lived in those homes.
That's right.
And people knew people that lived in those homes.
I knew people that lived in those homes.
Really?
I did.
That's the part of the impact, though, that you can't see visibly, is the emotional impact.
That's correct. And sometimes it comes later.
I gotta pause because this did impact me, and I'm on the outside looking in. And Mary was on the inside looking out, and she's involved with an organization that's helping. Ada K, you're on the inside looking out. And it really did get to me. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate that. But
Well, people don't realize is this impact comes in waves for us on the inside. Not only do we live with the fact that our family, our friends, and people we know that were personally either affected or passed away, but we live and see the damage every day. And it just comes in waves. And you can be going along fine, and then all of a sudden you break down. The PTSD is real. The first responders, the volunteers, there is just so many of them that have been so affected by this. It's hard to walk around here and someone say, "Oh, I haven't been affected." I heard someone say that to me. And I'm like, "Have you been living under a rock? How can you not be affected?" "Well, I didn't lose my home. I didn't have any damages. I didn't know anybody. I just see it on the news." And I'm like, you may not realize you're affected, but you're affected. And there's a lot of people right now who are very raw and emotionally discharged. And I was at HEB, and I got to admit, I got really frustrated about something very important. But I noticed this lady standing there, just sobbing. I mean, everybody is so triggered right now. And having MHDD and people like her and this organization, having chaplains like I am, and other mental health providers and other church chaplains. I mean, everybody, all the people that deal with spiritual or mental health have really come together, and we're really reaching out. And having this woman and chaplains in the reunification area, having them go out to the camps. I mean, I've been in a lot of hurricanes as a Red Cross volunteer, and I've worked a lot of disasters. We've never, ever have seen this many mental health personnel, boots on the ground, whether it's spiritual or mental. Never have I seen this kind of outpouring, and it's phenomenal. But this is going to continue to hit us for a long time. We got the big waves. Now they're going to get smaller and smaller and get ripples. It's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah. And
it's like a death. It's a death.
Mary and I talk about this like in a minute here. Like,
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No. It's perfectly relevant and super important. And I hope that a lot of people that need to hear this.
Really,
I did.
that's the part of the impact, though, that you can't see visibly, is the emotional impact.
That's correct. And sometimes it comes later. You're so focused on rebuilding and fixing things that emotional part of it comes later. And so since our entity is a first responder, we can make contact with those people right away, and we're going to be here forever. We don't leave. So when it's time that they do want to talk through that, we'll be able to be here for them. So that's why we made those contacts as soon as we could, because we want them to remember that we'll be here for them. But I will say, Hunt looks a lot different than it did 4 weeks ago.
Did you hear that? Hunt looks a lot different than it did 4 weeks ago.
Everything does.
Yeah.
But Hunt is gone. I mean, it looked just few walls were standing. Devastating.
Vehicles that didn't even look like vehicles anymore. They look like they had been through a machine to just make them look like a box. They had been just so badly beaten. When you go to part of the Hills camp, that is when it really, really struck me. And it's because it was a multi-story building, very, very far away from the river. You stand in front of that building and you turn around and you look up, and you realize how high that water got. That is when it really, really hit me. It's been much different than the 2002 flood. That hit in a much different way in a much different place. So that wasn't nearly as destructive as this was.
So a devastating event. When did you first realize that it was of this magnitude?
When I heard that the children from Camp Mystic were missing. And I have a child who was 9 years old. And that's when I knew that this was as big as it was. Yes. So when I found that out, that's when I started calling a lot of people and telling them, please come help.
And how many people came to help?
Well, not only did our entity come, but so far we've had other local LMHAs, local mental health authorities. We've had 3 so far. So far we've probably had about 100 people just from the local mental health authorities.
Just from the mental health.
That's correct.
First responder aspect.
And it's not going to stop. It's pretty amazing. Just about every LMHA does not overlap. So wherever we end is where someone else picks up. So every one of our surrounding LMHAs have come to help. And what they do is they rotate out with us so that our counselors don't get burned out. Because not only are they having to help these counselors, it's their own town.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Besides mental health, what type of response did you see from the local people coming in to help immediately afterwards?
One thing that I did not see in 2002 is there has been an abundance of stuff And I'm talking anything from clothing, generators, huge pieces of machinery, and the food. People have been fed, and food is life. You can't have food, you can't keep going on. That has been such a blessing. Mercy Chefs is going to be here for the next year. That pretty much gives you an idea of how big this devastation is. Because typically Mercy Chefs only stays here for a couple of weeks. They're going to have a permanent base here for a year now. We've seen World Kitchen, Lupe Tortilla, and then of course the food truck that I worked with. Her name is Shauna Foster. She's been feeding all the first responders since July the 4th. So the churches have asked people to stop bringing items because there's just so much of it. There's been such an outpouring of love and help. It's been amazing.
That is something when they have to stop asking for donations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where do you think the biggest need is right now and the next steps in recovery?
I think rebuilding everyone's homes is going to be big. That's going to take a long time. The biggest need that I also see is helping people what's going to look like in 6 months. There may be an abundance of help right now, but they're going to still need 6 months help from 6 months from now. So most everyone has been asking for gift cards. Those are something that can be used at any point in time. And then also building materials. Those are going to be a huge big help.
What is the best way for people to send gift cards and know that they're being used, how they should be used?
How they should be used, absolutely. My biggest recommendation is sending it to the churches. There is a website that I will share with you, a list of all of those resources where you know that things will be into the hands of those that need it.
Okay.
Monetary donations, people have been sending it to the Community Foundation, and Community Foundation is making sure that those churches get those funds that they can also give out to those individuals as well.
Gotcha. So if you had one positive, like the most positive thing that you can take away from what we've seen from a horrible, devastating thing, what is that most positive thing that you can take from it right now?
We live in a world right now where things are very much divided. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you're an Aggie stan or a Longhorn stan, if you're black or white, red or green, all of that has been washed away. Everyone is helping everyone, no matter if you're rich or poor, if you're Catholic or you're Baptist. And I think that has really brought us all together because we have one common goal, and that's to help each other.
And
Amen.
I think the community will survive and rebound from this.
Oh, yeah.
What you got to say?
Huh?
What you got to say?
Who, me?
Yeah, you. I'm going to play it
About-
one more time. Yeah.
And that's to help each other.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
you think the community will survive and rebound from this?
Absolutely.
Hell to the yes.
So Kerr County is just amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
One more time, who you work for and how people might be able to contact them if they need help.
So I work for, so I'm Jennifer Marquis. I work for Hill Country, MHPD. You can find us at hillcountry.org. We have a place that you can donate to us as well. You can also donate to the Community Foundation or monetary donations. And then for those gift cards, you can contact most of the churches here in town.
What an amazing
And also,
lady.
she is. And also, just so you know, there are other 501c3s, including my organization, who's made donations, and we've donated our all of our super chats and everything. But just make sure that whoever you're donating to is a legit 501c3. Just
Hmm?
saying,
What?
people have had trouble.
That's a thing?
Well, I have to say that she is right. And um, I've never seen this. I mean, we've had some bad things happen. A few years ago, we had a race car drag racing thing out at the airport, and one of the cars went out of control and broke through, or it went out of control past the barriers, and several people were unalived by accident. And I thought the community came together for that, but it's been unprecedented. And there was so much donations as clothing and everything that's true. We don't need any more of that. The food has been, there wasn't a corner that I could not go on that did not have free food for first responders or victims. I had more barbecue in a week that I've had in my life. Because everywhere I went, if I was in what I call my uniform with bad, here, 2 or 3, I mean, we were well fed. And I want to thank all those people who brought out their barbecue pits and barbecued for free and gave away. I can't tell you that when I've responded to disasters with Red Cross, we got a little card and we got a little bit of money, but not much. A lot of it was out of our pocket. I have never seen a disaster response that was more well fed than these people were. It's fabulous. Fan, when will it be?
When will what?
So, yeah. I want to say on my channel, I want to thank everybody who's watching, and for those who've donated. June, thank you so much, and Frank Leroy. But Joe, thank you for doing this. I can't do it. I have to be honest. I am not emotionally able to do what you're doing right now. I can be a guest, but I can't.
We're gonna see a 3-minute interview in a minute that is the capstone of my weekend in Kerrville. It was so sweet. It was so amazing. But I'm I'm not gonna lie. I'm disappointed that only 75 people are gonna see it, because 75 million people should see this interview with these young ladies from Camp Hope. So we're going to go through the starred comments.
Am I going to cry?
I might cry.
I'm ready.
Squeegee, yes. News cycle and social media don't help. So next week, I'm going to do an interview with Mike Watkiss. He is an award-winning journalist who has been deep diving into lots of cases since the 70s. And he was involved in OJ's case. So we'll talk about that. But he told me, we've been texting back and forth to set up this live together. And the thing that he told me was, you do you, boo. He didn't say that. He didn't say it that way. He would never say it that way. He would never say
I
it
said that.
way.
You do you, boo.
Right.
I say that.
Right? You have to follow the cases and the stories that give you inspiration, that are inspirational to you. And this is one of those to me. Kerr County, Kerrville, Hill Country. I'm inspired by this, and that's why I went there. And I was further inspired when I got there. So,
question, while you're lining, did you see the video of the girl who rewrote the lyrics to the song Hallelujah?
No.
You didn't hear it. She was from the Camp Mystic and she rewrote the words. You've got to play this.
Have they found all of the people who are missing? No, they have not. And they probably never will. Right? Like it's almost an impossibility to find everybody that went missing. But the numbers they report 3, and 3 is not the right number. It's not.
Oh, heck no. You have not seen this. Can I pop this up for a second
Yep.
once the commercial stops? Because this girl rewrote this song and it, but it's got this stupid.
State of confusion. There is a conspiracy theory out there now about cloud seeding. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into cloud seeding at a future date. Puzzle pieces.
Okay, I'm going to pop this up.
Thank you, puzzle.
Oh my
pieces.
gosh. And the Christian song artist Lauren Daigle surprised her. So I'm going to let you put this up. You got to listen to this. I sob every time.
Was a giant flood, but we were washed in Jesus' blood. And you don't really care for my news, do ya? On July the 4th, 2025, the water rose and we went adrift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Our faith was strong, you showed us love like only God from up above. Your prayers, your hugs, and your love overwhelmed us. We cried, we prayed, we did our share. You clothed us, fed us, brushed our hair, and from our lips we drew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. They say the water overcame, but I will never forget their names. No blame, no fault, so really what's it to ya? We are a part of mystic herd. We spread his light, his love, his word. The holy and the broken, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. We did our best, we left a mark, a light that shines within the dark. I told his truth, I didn't come to fool ya. And even though it wasn't long, we stand before the Lord of songs with nothing on our tongue but hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Wow.
The sign or I'll be sobbing. I'm sorry I kidnapped your show. That little girl came from that camp. And one of the biggest things that touched me, I don't care if you're Christian or not. I don't care what your faith is. But that is one of the strongest human beings I have ever seen in my life. That's what it's all about. Are you okay?
I'll be okay.
You not seen that?
Nope.
It's okay to not be okay, but you will be okay.
Yep, I'll be okay.
But I don't know if you guys know this. There was a video, but not everybody's seen it. When those girls that survived were able to finally get out on backs of trucks and big vehicles, military vehicles, they sang all the way home. When they were scared and the road was rough, the vehicles were rocking, and they saw the devastation for the first time. They saw the raw devastation that a lot of us didn't get to see. Instead of being screaming and crying, they sang. There's no words for that. That's faith. That's maturity beyond their years.
That leads me right into my interview with these camp girls. That's a good crossover. How'd you do that?
Well, you can spank my hand. I didn't mean to overtake your show, but I just felt led to that was. Someone hug. Okay, here. I'm hugging myself. I'm giving myself a hug.
You see these 6 young ladies?
Oh.
They're campers that were not campers this year. They're campers from prior years.
They're alumni.
Yes, and they were there to memorialize the one camp director that lost her life helping the others to get out of Camp Hope. What was her name? I know you know it.
Say that again.
The camp director that lost her life.
Okay. I'm pulling a blank, but I'll get it. I know her, and I know her. I'm seeing her face. I know her.
Yep. And we
Jane
saw her
Ragsdale.
picture.
Ragsdale.
Yes.
I know Ragsdale.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I know. I knew. It was just. I'm emotional. Jane Ragsdale. And then the firefighter. Anyway.
Yep. So these young ladies went to Camp Hope in prior years and knew Jane Ragsdale because she was the director of their camp. And this is such a sweet, sweet 3-minute interview. And one of these days, I'm going to be a good enough reporter to have like a 6-minute interview with these ladies, with these young ladies. But 3 minutes of their time was more than enough on Sunday.
Well,
I'm Carissa. I'm Sophia. I'm Adam Robert. I'm Ellie. I'm Daryl Billman.
Okay, so you're here visiting the memorial on Sunday, and you're going to pay tribute to somebody that you knew personally. And who is that?
Jane Ragsdale. She's our camp director. I'm part of the Hill Summer Camp.
Okay. And were you there at the camp when the flooding happened?
No. Yeah, no one was in section. Yeah, definitely. And it's very close to the river, so that was just like small blessings.
Right.
The counselors were supposed to get back the day after. And Jane was the only one who passed. It was she went with her family. And I think it's a very beautiful thing in that sense that she was able to be with her camp in her last days, and I don't wish to have that. Yeah, so first, having everybody get up paid from the animals, it's truly divine power, and we think we have that. We just visited Holiday Hill yesterday, and we got to see some of our old cabins that we lived together for months, and which is completely destroyed by the flood. So it was really just, we're just glad to be here. We're glad to help out and everything, and we're just here to pay tribute to Jane that she did so much for us.
So there are like 66 people watching now, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But there should be 66 million people watching this video because these are amazingly strong young women that are helping a community to recover from this horrible thing that happened. I feel so blessed to have been there in the moment, to run into them and to have them agree to an interview like this. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So everybody who's missing this, you're missing out on a beautiful thing. These young women and their thoughts and philosophies, and they're coming back for a reunion to pay tribute to their camp director is just such a beautiful thing. And I'm sad for everybody who's missing this right now.
So what is the best thing that you see coming out of this horrible tragedy? Like people coming together?
Well, I'm just being together. Yeah, I haven't seen each other in years. Yeah, together again.
So it's a little bit of a reunion. Yeah.
Visiting camp and seeing people from all over Texas who had no affiliation with camp. They didn't know anyone personally. They were just there to help. Like there were dozens of people on camp, just like helping rebuild, and it was just very beautiful. It felt like they understood, even though they had never gone to camp.
And just like the sense of community, I think coming out of this, you see like we as humans can all like come together and put aside everything and show humility, remorse, grieving, love and hope. Love and hope.
And just because none of the house girls died, I think being a camp girl, we're all sisters. It doesn't matter where you went or who you are. So I think all camps across the world are getting that information.
Being on campus, right, even though it's destroyed, like you're gonna return to and let the years
Like the driving up from Purple Plant actually just felt like tribal power, and that a part of us is really still there, and I hope we're waiting for the rest of our lives. And that.
Thank you very much, ladies.
My cry rag.
Just beautiful, beautiful young ladies with an amazing perspective. And part of that perspective that they have on the current tragedy was built out of their experiences, their personal experiences at that camp. Like that camp isn't just something that they did, that camp influenced their current human perspective on life, on God, on spirituality, on everything that you need to be able to deal with this tragedy. So thank you everybody that was here for sharing this with me. Because
Deborah, it will be available. I'm sorry, people are asking if they can share it. Yes, and it will be available for rewatch, both on my channel and yours.
Yep.
And Megan.
Yep. And Megan. Yep.
I mean, Megan. Dang it, I did it again. I'm sorry, Megan. It's my dyslexia. I do that all the time. I screw up people's names. I love you, girl. Yeah, you don't want me on a panel. I'll get everybody screwed up.
All right. I'm going to wrap it up for the night. Oh, so Dizzy and I have a bet that this is going to last 4 hours or not last 4 hours. So I can end it right now and I will win the bet.
Well, that's not a fair bet because you're in control. You can't do that's not fair. I ought to keep you talking for another so many,
Nope.
Was it 40,
Click. Ending
16
now.
minutes?
All right. End stream, click, end stream, click.
No, thank you so much for doing this. I really mean it. It was an honor and pleasure to meet you. And I support you 100%. I'll be pushing this video and I push all of your videos. I try to get you as much as I can But I want to be thank all of you.
The video with the camp girls, I want to push that because that is so unique and is so precious, and their view on life and response to this is just so amazing. I love it.
You just need to create just a very like a 1 minute intro, them, and 1 minute extra exit, and then put it up there and let it go. Post it everywhere you can post it. But I want to thank all your viewers for being so kind to your guests. We appreciate you. We thank you for that. And all my viewers, thank you for watching.
And all of Megan's viewers who are still hanging out, thank you so much.
Yes.
We appreciate your love, and hopefully you learned something from this. I learned a lot. I was there for 2 days. I was there in Kerrville, Texas, Kerr County for 2 days, and I learned so much. I learned so much about what happened on July 4th, what happened after July 4th. I learned so much about the people of Kerr County and Hill Country, and about the strength and resiliency of the people of Hill Country. They are a strong, resilient people. They're also a sensitive people, so they're going to grieve together and they're going to recover together. That I know. That I know. Do you know that, Abe?
Yeah. Somebody asked for my link to my channel. May I put it up there?
No, I'm going to do it.
Oh, okay. Then you do it. Yes, we are grieving. Here's the thing. We celebrate the highs and we grieve the lows in this community very well. And, it's going to take time. But I will tell you this, if anything ever like this happens in Texas or anywhere that we can go and help, we will show just as much love and outpour as much as we can into a community that suffers like us. We will be there for them as they have been for us. And that's one thing I can say with pride about Kerrville. We have 7 volunteer fire departments in the vicinity of our community in Kerr County, and the paid one, of course. And they always go. Hurricanes, floods, tornadoes. So you never, ever, I would have never thought the morning I woke up on the 3rd, the day before, I drove, that route you and I drove a friend down that route. We stopped at the Hunt store, and we were one of the last people served in the Hunt store. We ate. And when we came home, and he went on his way, he wanted to see the area. And I have to tell you, that is one of the biggest griefs for me to know that I was in that store that night just before it got demolished. And it's a huge landmark. Even the president talked about it. But the thing is that the outpouring of love and support the next morning, you never go to bed and thinking that when you wake up, all hell has broken loose. And that's exactly what happened. Nobody would have ever thought it would have gotten this big. And we're used to floods, but this wasn't a flood. There's no words to describe what I saw that day.
No. So thank you for coming up and joining me. Thank you, Puzzle Pieces. Thank you, McSpunky. More puzzle pieces. Thank you, Denise, for the super sticker. Thank you, Frank Leroy. He's always brutally honest. I love that about Frank. June, Anne, Pammy, last but not least. Thank you, Pammy. Always a sweetheart. Thank you. Ada K, thanks for joining me. I really no, you're muted. You're muted.
Thank you for having me. I know I'm a little spicy and a little spunky, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to calm it down.
Yeah, we're all trying to calm it down, but yeah, you know how that goes. Thank you.
That's how I
everybody,
get through
for
it.
hanging with us. Thank you, chat. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And please, honestly, please share this in some way, because 60 people watching this is a travesty of justice. Like, this is a story that needs to be out there. You can't, 4 weeks after 130 people lost their lives, 130 plus people lost their lives, and we still have dozens of people still missing, and 60 people are watching this video. Come on. We can do better. We can. But for the people that were here for us and that helped us, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you, Ada K. We'll catch you all on the next one.
Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Oh, we can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime.